You're watching ICENET, independently covering New York Islanders hockey past and present, bringing you the tradition and nostalgia you know and love with a modern feel. This is where Islanders tradition and pride are always our number one. Built by passion for the orange and blue. Isles coverage. Taking a step into the future by reaching into the past. ICENET. Dynasties live here.
Live on CBC, Hockey Night in Canada, brought to you by Molson, Canada's name in beer since 1786, brewers of Molson Export Ale. Canadian General Electric, progress for people since 1882. Canadian Tire Dealers with 320 stores to serve you across Canada. And by the Ford Motor Company of Canada, on behalf of your Ford and Mercury dealers from coast to coast. Last year in the Stanley Cup semifinals, it was the Battle of New York City, the Islanders versus the Rangers. And this year, they're calling it the Battle of New York State. The New York Islanders versus the Buffalo Sabres. The series began on Tuesday night in Buffalo. The Sabres, after a long layoff, and the Islanders, who hadn't played in a week, met and made a few mistakes. More on Buffalo's side, however, and the most crucial was in the first period. Bill Height putting the puck right on Mike Bossy's stick. And he scores to break a 1-1 tie, and on 2 goals by John Tonelli, the Islanders go on to a 4-1 opening game victory to silence a Buffalo crowd. Then 2 nights later, the Islanders with that momentum, and the Sabres, more like themselves, played a great game. It went to 2 overtime periods before Bob Nystrom put in Bob Lorimer's rebound behind Buffalo goalie Bob Sauvé, and the Islanders with a 2-game lead bring that home to the Nassau Coliseum. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Hodge, and it's my pleasure to welcome hockey audiences on both sides of the border, Hockey Night in Canada and NHL 80 in the United States, teaming up to bring you coverage of this 3rd game between the New York Islanders and the Buffalo Sabres. And to call the play-by-play and to team up in those duties tonight will be, from Hockey Night in Canada, Vancouver, Jim Robson, and from NHL 80, Dan Kelly, the play-by-play voice of the St. Louis Blues. And color commentary will be provided by former NHLer Jerry Pinder, who played with the California Seals and the Chicago Blackhawks. And with me now is Howie Meeker, who through tonight will be analyzing play in the intermissions. And you got to like the Islanders' position. They win 2 on the road. They haven't been beaten on the road in these playoffs. When they have lost, it's been at home, but I don't know that they should worry about that, not in the position they're in. Any reason for them to worry?
I don't think so. The talk around here has been overconfidence, but certainly that's not going to happen. Al Arbour's going to say, hey, fellas, over the season they had the best goaltending in the league, the best defense in the league, and out front with Perreault and Martin going, they can hurt you any time at all. No, I just don't think that they're in any situation that's going to hurt them.
Well, Al Arbour is with Dan Kelly now. We'll find out what the soft-spoken New York Islander coach thinks about his team and its position.
Al Arbour, people would think you're sitting pretty. Walk into Buffalo, win the first 2 games. You don't seem to be reacting that way.
Well, you know, it's certainly very nice to go in there and win 2 games in Buffalo, but, you know, a series is 4 games, and there's an awful lot of hockey left.
Al, do you wonder or worry that your team, after winning on the road, taking that lead, make them home and think it's going to be easy?
Well, you know, we've certainly been talking about that quite a bit, emphasizing that situation, and, you know, you can't take anything for granted, and hopefully they're not overconfident, because, you know, we realize Buffalo has a fine hockey club, a very good team, and an explosive club. And, you know, so we can't give them anything at all. We got to take everything away from them.
Well, usually explosive are the Buffalo Sabres, but not so far in this series. They've been held to 1 goal in each of the first 2 games, and that has to change. The Sabres, of course, a good defensive team, and they would like to continue that. But how do they get the goals?
Well, it's certainly, Dave, they have to come out of the barn with some giddy-up and go. Danny Gare has to get his act together, and when they get an advantage on that power play, they got to score goals. And the only way they're going to beat Billy Smith, put him upstairs.
The Sabres, of course, affected by injuries to Craig Ramsey and Rick Dudley, and if it's strange that Buffalo hasn't scored, it has to be strange that Scotty Bowman, a team coached by him, is down 2 games.
Scotty, I just wonder, when the last time a team you coached was down 2 games in a series? Do you recall?
No, I don't, Dan. I think it must have happened, but not in Montreal. We were always either ahead or maybe tied after 2.
Scotty, what's your thought losing the first 2 games at home, coming into their home rink for game 3 and 4?
Well, I thought we played pretty well in the second game, but certainly we need to score some goals and at the same time get off to a quick start. I think that's the most important thing. The pressure is on the home team all the time, but the Islanders have a 2-game lead, so our team is well aware of what they have to do.
An all-important game for the Buffalo Sabres. I think even they would admit that the series is probably over or nearly over should they lose tonight to go down 3 games to none. And Scotty Bowman says they have to get a good start. Well, it's something that they haven't had, at least on the scoreboard, at either of the first 2 games, and it becomes even more important now, down 2 games, to have a good first period tonight and hopefully for the Sabres take a lead after the first 20 minutes. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage will continue in just a moment.
Hello, hockey fans. I'm Jim Robson with Dan Kelly and our color man, Jerry Pinder. A standing ovation by the New York Islander fans as you see the Islanders on the ice in their home uniforms, the white with blue and orange. And there's a look at the crowd. It'll be a sellout, 14,995, standing and cheering as the Islanders are up in the series 2 games to nothing. And there's one of the reasons why, Billy Smith. And it looks like we're going to have to stand, not necessarily cheer, but to see some of the action tonight as the fans are standing all around us. And a guy who's not too tall anyway, as you see the Buffalo Sabres come out on the ice, is Jerry Pinder. Jerry, there's a Buffalo team that just has to come up with a good effort tonight.
Well, Scotty Bowman has the key. He said they've got to get off to a good start, but there's a couple of interesting things about tonight's game, Jim. We're in a much bigger ice surface than in the Buffalo Auditorium. And I really believe it's going to hurt the Sabres defensively because their defense aren't as mobile as the New York Islanders, and a small ice surface helps them. On the other hand, Gilles Perreault, Rick Martin, Danny Gare, players like that who have exceptional speed have got a little more room to move around in this rink, and I expect to see them better offensively.
There's Don Edwards, the goaltender, who is alternating with Bob Sauvé, and of course that Buffalo pair shared the Vezina Trophy for their outstanding season. Billy Smith, who's been a standout in the playoffs. He's only lost 1 playoff game, 9 victories, and goaltending's always a key, Jerry.
Well, you see a guy like Billy Smith in the first 2 games, Jim, and you wonder how long can he play this way. Well, I can remember not so long ago when Roger Crozier won the Conn Smythe Trophy and the Detroit Red Wings lost the Stanley Cup Final. So that you better believe Billy Smith can stay hot for the whole series, and if he does, Buffalo doesn't have a chance.
There's a shot up the ice towards the Buffalo zone as you see the Buffalo players going to the benches on the far side. Now the crowd will stand as Joe Durer steps out on the ice to sing the Star-Spangled Banner.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
Crowd cheering at the finish of the Star-Spangled Banner. Here's a look at our officials tonight. The referee, the man in the middle, Bob Myers, 39 years old. His 10th year as an NHL referee. There's Swede Knox. The linesman who skated out of the picture, John D'Amico, the senior official of the three at 42 years of age with 13 years in the league. There's young Donnie Edwards. His average in the playoffs, .220. He's won 3 and lost 2 and has 1 shutout in the playoffs. And here's Billy Smith, who's played all but 1 period of the Islanders' playoff hockey, and there's an excellent average. He's won 9 and lost 1, has 1 shutout in the playoffs. The Islanders in the home white, the Buffalo uniforms, the dark blue with gold and white. Butch Goring starting at center ice for the Islanders, facing off against Don Luce. Rick Martin shoots the puck into Islander territory. That's Bob Lorimer back for the puck. Forechecked by Luce as the puck rolls into Buffalo territory. Number 24 is Bill Height, dumping it out to center. Bounces off Andre Savard, who's out there with Rick Martin and Don Luce. Sabres had some injury problems. We'll tell you about it in a moment. Their lineup is changed somewhat because of injuries to Ramsey and Luce, or rather Ramsey and Dudley out of the lineup. Schoenfeld goes to the puck on the board. Goring forechecking, trying to tie him up. Puck is still in play. Goring watching Schoenfeld. Finally stolen by Dwayne Sutter, who centers it. This is Potvin from the point. Deflects in front. Great save by Edwards on Clark Gillies, big number 9 right in front. Islanders putting on early pressure. Luce puts the puck to the corner. That's Savard in after it. Lorimer moves in and falls in the collision. Sutter from behind the net, trying to center it. He's knocked down. In goes Butch Goring after the puck. Gillies is getting to the front of the net. Now from the point, it's Lorimer shooting. Deflects across in front. Martin goes to it on the boards. Tied up near the corner by Goring. Islanders in there forechecking well. They'll get a face-off in Buffalo territory.
Well, Jim, we're going to... No, they haven't called a face-off.
Play continues in the Buffalo zone as the puck is finally cleared out by Savard. Now there will be a whistle because this is going to be an icing. No, it's waved away. We better wait for the officials to blow the whistle. They went into the crease. The goaltender had to touch the puck, so the play continues. No score in the game. We're nearing the 2-minute mark. We haven't had a stoppage in play. Teams changing on the fly. Tipped into New York, into Buffalo territory. McClanahan is number 15 coming out. Moving in on the right is Perreault. Going for the front of the net is McClanahan. Turns with the puck. Tied up on the board. Taken in by Morrow. The puck is centered. Steered away by Lane. This is Mike Bossy. To Bourne. To Lane. To Bourne. Chasing in is Van Boxmeer. Edwards comes away out. Gets the puck to Van Boxmeer, number 5 of Buffalo. Now Perreault moving in on the defense. Drop pass for Sealing. To the point. Shot by Dunn. Stopped by Smith. Scramble. The play goes on. The puck behind the net. A pass hit his skate. Puck is steered off the boards and out by Morrow. Good action. No score. 2.5 minutes gone. First period, still no whistle. That's Richie Dunn with the puck back of his own goal. Young defenseman from Boston, Massachusetts. This is Rick Sealing. Moving in on Langevin. Sealing taken out by Langevin. No penalty. Play goes on. Islanders come back. Stephen Persson clears it to center ice. This is young Mike Ramsey, the rookie from Minnesota, puts it in the Islanders zone. It's brought out. This is Bourne with the puck for Stephen Persson. Winding up. Making a play at the line. Tipped into the corner. Merrick fell to the ice, and while in the crease, Merrick then slid right into the goal. Couldn't get a stick on the puck. Back comes McKegney. A slap shot wide of the net. Into the corner, it's Pinelli. Checked by Gare. Pearson took a check in the corner. The puck came to the point. Mike Ramsey shot right on. Billy Smith steered it to Langevin. Back on the Islanders, Pinelli. With him, number 11 is Wayne Merrick. Couldn't reach the puck. It goes to the corner. Mike Ramsey gets it there. Cleared it to the line and out. Langevin in possession for Islanders. No score. 3.5 minutes of continuous action. Puck is shot into Islander territory. Smith steers it to number 7, Stephen Persson. Buffalo makes a full change on the fly. Pinelli with the puck. Dystrom's on right wing, but the pass didn't get through to him. Pinelli hustles to the corner. Took a check from Height. Luce put the puck behind the net to Richie Dunn. Steers it to the line and down the ice. No icing. It's waved off by Knox. Now Potvin back to get the puck. Tied up along the inboard. Rick Martin takes him to the corner, and they finally get a stoppage in play. Scotty Bowman, the coach of the Buffalo Sabres, hasn't been in this situation too often. Jerry, he's used to being up in a series.
Well, he certainly is, but his Buffalo Sabres have come out very strong, I think, Jim, in the early going. And what I expect to see tonight is guys like Gilles Perreault and Rick Martin, as I mentioned at the top of the show, play a little better because they got a lot of room to move in the offensive end of the ice.
We played 3 minutes and 59 seconds before there was a whistle. We'll have another face-off in Islander territory. Butch Goring, number 21 of the Islanders, facing off against Robert Mundgrain, number 25 for the Buffalo Sabres, a rookie. Getting some ice time due to the injuries to Sabres, Craig Ramsey, and Rick Dudley. Clark Gillies goes after the puck. It's steered back in, a delayed offside, but Lorimer brings it out. Lorimer puts it in. It's intercepted on the boards by Rick Steeling. Steers it to center for Mongrain. Checked away from him, and Howitt shoots it in. Howitt is now on right wing, number 8, with 21 Goring at center, and Gillies, number 9, on left wing for the Islanders. Lorimer put the puck off the boards. Lindy Ruff is number 22 of the Sabres, dumping it in. As both teams get some of those players off the bench, you normally don't get much ice time. Bill Height going after the puck. Puts it off the boards. It tipped over to Clark Gillies at the blue line, and he's called offside on the play. Little mix-up along the boards after the whistle. And there's Al Arbour. He's been in a Stanley Cup situation many times as the players talk things over. Arbour's been on 4 Stanley Cup champions as a player. From the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island, this is Stanley Cup 80.
Stanley salutes the doghouse Tom Lynch built. Ron Nash's Entertainment Center. Stanley salutes this whole new generation who enjoy doing things with their own 2 hands. They know that to do things right, you need the right tools, and that means Stanley.
Stanley, we want to help you do things right.
Great barbecue center, Pat and Jack Schreiber. Stanley Tools, Hardware, and Drapery Hardware.
We want to help you do things right.
We played 4 minutes, 42 seconds of the first period. No score. There's John D'Amico blowing that whistle, says, let's go. That's Ryan Trottier getting the face-off away from Gilbert Perreault. Puck bounces loose. Trottier going after it. Schoenfeld is checking him, bumped him on the board. Fossey goes to the puck, centered it. It tipped around in front. This is Lane from the left point. A shot. Stop. The rebound's in front. Scooped away by Schoenfeld. Close call in front of Don Edwards. This is the great Gilbert Perreault with the puck. Letting a shot go that deflects off of Morrow to the corner. Rick Martin from the corner, centering it, and tipped away from in front. Trottier on the right wing to Bossy, the trigger man for the Islanders. Bossy shoots. He scores! Mike Bossy, 1-0 Islanders.
Well, a great goal by Bossy. He just wound up and let one fly, Jim. But I don't know if Edwards expected him to shoot the puck because he wasn't very far out of the net. There's Bossy.
A great goal scorer, Mike Bossy, his 5th goal of the playoffs.
It didn't look like Edwards had a chance to get very far out of the net, and I don't know if he expected Bossy to shoot it, but when Mike Bossy's motoring down the right side with the puck, what else do you expect him to do, Jim? He shoots that puck very well.
Bossy scored 51 goals this season. That was his worst season. He's had 177 goals in 3 NHL seasons. Maybe one of the greatest natural goal scorers in the history of the game. He's only a kid.
Jim, he's pretty to watch. He really is.
Trottier got the assist. 5:14 was the time. Mike Bossy makes it 1-0 Islanders. A very key goal in any playoff game. Pinelli turning with the puck to Nystrom. Quick shot, stopped by Edwards. Back comes Tony McKegney. On his right is Danny Gare, taking the pass. Took a wrist shot that Smith turned aside. Ramsey shot picked off around the goaltender and off the board. This is Pinelli. On his right is Nystrom as they go in over the line. He looks for Nystrom. Got him the puck. There's a pass in front intended for Wayne Merrick. Didn't get through. Gare cleared the puck out. Danny Gare out there for Buffalo, number 18, moving into forecheck. A surprise starter tonight. He steals the puck. He missed the team skate, the team meeting today with the flu and a leg injury, but Gare is out there. Such a key game. Langevin comes up with the puck. Behind the net to Stefan Persson. It's 1-0 Islanders. Nystrom to Tonelli. Got away from him. Larry Playfair backhands it to center ice. Cleared back to the Buffalo blue line. Puck bouncing around. Gare tried to get control and couldn't. In goes Goring. He's got a lot of moves. Butch Goring. And the puck is covered up. There's going to be a Buffalo penalty on the play as Butch Goring was grabbed going in on goal. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
For every beautiful lawn, there's a garage full of equipment. Something to mow it, to fertilize it, to clean up clippings, to rake up leaves. Introducing the Electro-Mulch from Canadian General Electric. It mulches as it mows, fertilizing your lawn with its own tiny clippings. No raking, no bagging, no cleanup. The work-saving Electro-Mulch. One machine for a beautiful, healthy lawn.
Jerry Pinder, the first penalty. Goring is hooked going in on goal. There's Larry Playfair serving the penalty. Gives the Islander power play a chance.
And they got all their gunners out there too, Jim.
Trottier is 19. Bossy is number 22. Gillies is number 9. The puck is in front of the net. And it's steered out to center by Don Luce, number 20 of the Sabres, one of the best penalty killers in the game. The point men for the Islanders are number 14, Bob Bourne, and number 5, Dennis Potvin. Bourne goes back for the puck. Neither team has scored a power play goal yet in the series. Rather surprisingly, they're both 0 for 9 coming into this game. Clark Gillies to Bossy. In the corner to Gillies. Crotchet's moving to the side of the net as Bourne takes a shot. Deflect in front. Scramble. Where's the puck? Still in play at the side of the goal. Crotchet tried to center it. It's blocked by Schoenfeld. Schoenfeld moves in on Trottier. Gillies after the puck behind the net with Height. Height trying to check big Clark Gillies. The puck is dug out by Bossy. Knocked away by Luce. Can't clear it out. Bourne at the left point. To Potvin. He's got the hard shot. Gives it to Bossy. Stick handling. Check. Loose puck. Recovered by Bourne. Lost it to Don Luce. Couldn't get it out. Gillies from behind the net for Trottier. To the point to Potvin. To Bourne. Shot. Deflects high. Batted down. Back to Potvin. Another shot. Blocked in front. The Islanders controlling the puck. Potvin winding up. A wrist shot. Blocked. Scrambled in front. Puck is steered to the side. Rick Sealing golfs it down the ice. Buffalo penalty killers getting a rest now as Luce and Sealing get to the bench, replaced by number 25, Mongrain. Number 5, Van Boxmeer is up front as a penalty killer. This is Stanley now with Nystrom. Both teams have changed on the fly. Quick shot. Oh, may have hit the face of the post after Edwards got a piece of it. It's still 1-0 Islanders, and the puck is cleared out by Mongrain. Stephen Pearson to Butch Goring. Shooting it in. Young Mike Ramsey getting to it first and clearing it out. There's 3 seconds left in Playfair's penalty. He's back on as you see him come out of the penalty box. Buffalo survived that power play under a lot of pressure. The 10th consecutive time they've stopped the Islander power play.
Jim, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, and we haven't got the slow-mo working right now for the replays, but they're working away at it, and we hope to have it very soon. But on that power play by the Islanders, the Buffalo Sabres were attacking any Islander with the puck in the offensive zone. As we look at Al Arbour, the coach of the Islanders, but for that reason, it creates a lot of openings in front of goalie Don Edwards. And as we saw, the Islanders had some very, very good scoring opportunities. Buffalo being very, very aggressive, killing the penalties, not staying in the box, and not giving the New York Islanders a chance to set up. But it does create those openings, and they had some excellent scoring opportunities.
Sabres have number 19, Derek Smith at center, flanked by Danny Gare, number 18, and number 8 is McKechnie on the left side as Gord Lane gets the puck behind his own goal. Islanders have dominated the play and lead 1-0. Mike Bossy from Trottier at 5:14. Puck is dug out by Tonelli. Now to Lorne Henning, who's on the ice for his first shift. Controlling the puck, put it in front, it bounces off of Playfair. Edwards scoops it behind the net, blocked by Howitt. To the side of the goal for Tonelli, who's double shifting to join Howitt and Henning out there, the 10th and 11th forwards. But the Sabres come out 3-on-2. This is McKechnie moving in on Morrill. The pass for Smith, tipped off his stick. Loose puck, Gare went after it, tried to center it, it's blocked. Lorne Henning, number 10 of the Islanders, to John Tonelli. On his right is Howitt. There's the pass to Howitt. Moving in on Mike Ramsey, who got a piece of him and fell. And the puck comes around to big Larry Playfair. To Gare, to McKechnie up the middle. Moving in on Lane and Morrill. The shot hit Morrill, number 6, the young defenseman off the U.S. Olympic team. And Lane goes to the puck on the boards and clears it out. We're nearing the midway mark of the first period. on a warm, mostly clear evening in New York. It reached over 70 degrees in Long Island today in the sunshine. This is Trache. Tabasi moves at the side of the net, couldn't get a shot. Perreault put it around on the board. Being brought up by McClanahan. On his right is Sealing. Sealing racing to the puck. Has to go to the corner for it. Lined up by Potvin, who just spun him around. Puck came in front, it steered away. Trache took it back to the corner. Turning on the boards. Got it to Bob Bourne. To Lorimer. On his right is Bossy. On his left is Trache getting the pass. But it's steered away by John Van Buxmere. 9:42 left, first period. It's 1-0 Islanders. They lead the series 2-0. Richie Dunn now with the puck. Starting a rush for Buffalo. Moving in on Potvin and Lorimer. Puck came to Sealing. Tried to put it in front. Smith steered it away and went high. Dennis Potvin came up with it. Quickly, this is Sutter. To Goring, to Sutter. He shoots. Oh, Edwards got his skate on it. Rookie Dwayne Sutter getting that good chance. And now Edwards covers up the puck. This is Stanley Cup 80 from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
Can a 1980 Ford LTD, priced about $8,300, ride as quietly as a $93,000 Rolls-Royce? Both were tested under identical conditions, over smooth roads, over rough roads, at 40, 50, and 90 kilometers per hour. LTD rode just as quietly as the Rolls-Royce. And compared to last year's fuel economy rating, the 1980 LTD is 14% better. Ford LTD, quality that quietly speaks for itself.
Well, Al Arbor, who is a major strategist, Jim, in this series so far, he's been very, very effective in his line changes.
Outstanding coach. In fact, his one-loss percentage is now 4th in the all-time list, and coaches in the NHL have had over 500 games. Battle for the puck on the boards. It's covered up to stop the play with 9:06 left in the first period. That's young Dwayne Sutter, number 12 of the Islanders, one of 3 Sutters in the National Hockey League, and there are 2 more playing in southern Alberta.
That's quite a family operation they got going, Jim.
I'll bet you that family's proud. There's Brian, of course, of the St. Louis Blues, Darryl of the Chicago Blackhawks, and young Dwayne with the New York Islanders. The score, 1-0 New York. Jimmy Schoenfeld with the puck. Now to Bill Height, steering it to Rick Martin at center. Checked away by Stefan Persson. Shot in by Nystrom. Puck went around on the boards. Gillies goes after it. Bumps. It came to the point. A shot deflected. Quick stop by Edwards on that deflection in front by Goring. Goring behind the net. Trying to dig out the puck as Nystrom was knocked down. Rick Martin goes to the puck. Flipped it high. It went down the ice into Islander territory, but no icing is called as Langevin's back for the puck to Nystrom. Missed a check from Rick Martin. The puck came back to Schoenfeld. Tried to center it. Martin tied up by the rival, number 7, Stefan Persson. Puck behind the net. Loose tried to center it and went around on the board. Schoenfeld ran into Nystrom, who comes out with the puck. Nystrom played it back to Clark Gillies, the big number 9. Banking it off the boards, and it's cleared into Buffalo territory with 8:05 left in the first period. 1-0 Islanders lead. Both teams make a full change as Bill Height fires a pass to Rick Martin, who couldn't get off on the change. Comes to center. Moving in with Perreault. Dropped the puck to Perreault. Stick handles to the corner. Watched by Lane. Perreault behind the net, looking for someone in front. It goes to Mongrain, who's number 25. Centering it. Tipped away by Tonelli. Mongrain threw it in front. It hit the side of the net. Lane back of the goal. Checked by Perreault. Nystrom picked up the puck. Keeps working for it. Now it's cleared across to Gordy Lane. Slapping it in. Wide of the net. Came off the board. Sutter in after it. Dug out on the boards by Lindy Ruff, who's pinned. A big jam up on the boards, and they stop the play. With the score, the Islanders 1, the Sabres 0. This is Stanley Cup 80.
Weather. Oxidation. They can kill your car's finish. Beat them with the new Polyshell system from Turtle Wax. The Polyshell system. 3 protective layers of polymers and silicones that bond to your car. Plus a reactivator applied every 6 months for 24 months shine and protection. Get 3 layers of brilliant protection. The Polyshell system from Turtle Wax.
Face-off is in Buffalo territory with 7:45 left in the first period. Tonelli moves in to take the face-off against Mongrain now. Puck came back to Morrow. Shot from the point went high. Lane moves into the puck. Perreault checked him near the corner. Playfair put the puck behind the net where there's a battle for it. Tonelli digs it out. Got it. They score! Captain at the side of the net by young Wayne Merrick scored the goal. Merrick put it in the net. It's 2-0 Islanders.
Well, John Tonelli digs the puck out from behind the net, and he just fed it to Merrick, who was standing just off the corner of the net, and it was a very sudden thing. A little bit of a lapse defensively by the Buffalo Sabres, and it's 2-0 for the New York Islanders now. The fans love it, Jim.
12:47, the time of the goal. There's the man who scored it, formerly with the St. Louis Blues. We will apologize at this time. We do not have a slow-motion replay on these goals, but it's being worked on, and we'll hope we'll have it for you. But Merrick was right at the side of the net after Tonelli had dug it out behind the net.
That's the second of the playoffs for Wayne Merrick.
Here's a picture of that goal by Merrick from Tonelli, and watch behind the net here as Tonelli intercepts the puck, digs it out from Ramsey, and there you see Wayne Merrick just standing about 2 feet off the corner of the net.
Young Playfair is the defenseman who threw it around behind the net, but Mike Ramsey was checked by Tonelli, and that resulted in the play that gave Merrick the chance to make it 2-0. Merrick from Tonelli, 12:47. 2-0 Islanders lead. They also lead the series 2-0. Battle for the puck on the boards as Sutter is tied up near the corner. Bumping with Richie Dunn. Sutter gets a shot that's blocked. The puck steered to the corner. Henning goes after it. McKigney got to it first, banks it around on the boards. In goes Lane, keeping it in. Islanders putting on pressure. Sutter in front. Tonelli's weak shot went out the end of his stick. McKigney from behind the net. There's a penalty behind the play to Richie Dunn for interference as he tripped up Dwayne Sutter behind the play. Dunn takes the penalty, and Buffalo shorthanded and trailing by 2. Stanley Cup 80 will continue in a moment.
Well, we finished most of Charlie's scene. Hey, come on over to our place. Dad's got a few beer on right.
Sounds great. For years, the folks around these parts have given the guy a hand and shared a little Molson Export Ale.
Well, I called the girls to come over for supper.
Well, terrific. That means we leave the tractors here for the...
How's that leg, Charlie?
Oh, it's getting along.
Hey, I sure do owe you guys a vote of thanks.
Hey, what are friends for, eh, Charlie?
Molson Export Ale. It keeps on tasting great.
They called the penalty on Richie Dunn, an interference penalty, but it may well have been a tripping penalty here. There it is.
You see it behind the play, a very bad penalty. Behind the play when his teammate had the puck in his own zone and his team is down 2-0. Bad time to take it. Richie Dunn at 13:28. Islanders are called offside. The Islanders are 0 for 10 on their power play, and they're due. Stanley Cup 80 continues from Long Island or Minnesota on Tuesday, the 6th of May. That's when you'll see another game in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We're down to 4. There's the reminder from either here at the Nassau Coliseum or in Minnesota, where the Flyers and the North Stars resume their series tomorrow night. Bourne to Bossy, who shot his block. Puck is left in skate, steered to the line, not out. Potvin. Shot from the right by Trottier, blocked. Puck is steered with a glove hand. That's a glove hand pass. Everybody in the building called it for the officials.
Mike Bossy, and Jim, the whole New York Islander power play is set up. It's built around getting that puck to Mike Bossy so he can let the puck fly. And as we watch him set up the power play, watch Mike Bossy cruise around in and out of the slot. He won't stand in the slot so the defenseman can physically take him out of there, but he cruises in and out looking to the point and then to shoot the puck at him.
Bossy's number 22, number 19 taking the face off is Trottier. Number 14, Bourne, is on the right side. The other men on the Islander power play. 7 is Pearson with the puck. Taking the shot, went wide. Another shot blocked by Edwards. Loose puck in front, he covers it up. And of course, Dennis Potvin, number 5, is the other man on the power play. As you look at Billy Height and his goaltender Don Edwards, and they're playing under a lot of pressure in this first period as Schoenfeld talks to his goaltender.
Well, with Pearson and Dennis Potvin back at the point and Mike Bossy cruising through the slot, you better believe they're going to put a lot of pressure on because they got some very fine shooters out there.
Buffalo have excellent penalty killers, but one of the best in the league is Craig Ramsey, who suffered a broken wrist in Game 2 of the series, is out. As you look at one of the most prominent players in hockey, Denny Potvin, he's won the Norris Trophy as the top defenseman in the league 3 times, and he'll win it more times. Don Luce to take the face-off against Brian Trottier. Islanders get the draw. Potvin from the point to Stefan Persson at the other point to Potvin. Rough in front of the net on Trottier, being worked over by Schoenfeld, who winds up with the puck. And there he's wrapped by Trottier. And the puck is steered down the ice by Height. Now there's 1 minute left in the penalty to Richie Dunn. The score is 2-0 Islanders with 5:28 left in the first period. Clark Gillies moving in on the defense, joined by Butch Goring, cutting for the net. Forced to the corner, controlling the puck to Bossy. To Persson, to Bossy. On the right circle is Potvin. There's his shot. Kicked out by Edwards. Standing up well. 3 men along the line. In the right circle, it's Goring. Left point to Persson. Crowded in front. Clark Gillies is there, causing all the havoc, but the puck is steered high and got out to center ice. Stolen there by Don Luce. An excellent penalty killer, sliding the puck in on Billy Smith, who hasn't had that much action in the first period, dominated by New York. Islanders 2-0 leaders. In comes Bob Nystrom to Goring, turning to set up on the power play. Only 6 seconds left on the power play. Saved by Edwards. Gillies in front, a shot by Goring, deflects over the glass and out of play.
Well, there's an awful lot of banging going on in front of that net. Larry Playfair and Clark Gillies, two pretty big hockey players, are out there hacking each other. And Jim, one thing about the fact that there have been no power play goals in this series, in the Buffalo rink, it's very, very difficult with that small ice surface to set up the power play and run it effectively for 2 minutes. I think we're going to see a couple of goals in the power play tonight just because of the fact that they have a much bigger offensive ice zone. A much bigger area to work with in the offensive zone.
4:34 left in the first period. 2-0 Islanders lead. There's only 2 seconds left in the penalty to Richie Dunn. As Goring and Mongrain are facing off, and they're waved out of the circle by John D'Amico. So Bob Nystrom comes in. Well, Clark Gillies says, I'll take it. And when he says what he wants to do, he does it. 218 pounds of him. Puck is intercepted by John Van Boxmeer. On the right is Richie Dunn, who just came out of the penalty box. Here's Van Boxmeer shooting, and it went off of Gordy Lane, and it's steered behind the net. Morrow bumped there by Van Boxmeer, who's playing up on the forward line. Puck is steered out to Clark Gillies. Now to Butch Goring. Weaves at center. Bumped off the puck by Van Boxmeer. Formerly with Montreal and Colorado. Now the team's making changes on the move with 4:07 left in the first period. Lane shooting the puck into Buffalo territory. Savard comes up with it back of the net. It's banked around on the boards for Lindy Rupp. Perreault skates by the puck trying to pick it up. Now Mike Ramsey starts out with it. The rookie from the U.S. Olympic team moving in over the Islander line. Taken out by a teammate on that Olympic team, Kenny Morrow, along the boards. And Tonelli hustles to that puck and brings it out, being bothered by Andre Savard, who keeps on him. In goes Tonelli, controlling the puck. Now to Sutter. Back for Tonelli, but it hit his skate. 3:32 left in the first period. 2-0 Islanders. Rushing is Lindy Rupp. The rookie putting it in for Savard. Goes to the corner after it. Turning with the puck. Bumped by Lane. Squeezing him on the boards. Tonelli. Checked by Perreault, but got the puck to center ice to Merrick, who puts it in, and there's that Tonelli tireless out there. Number 27, John Tonelli, goes in and throws the check on Richie Dunn as he got the puck around on the board. This is Perreault trying to put on some of his moves, trying to go through the middle. Now McKegney shot, stop. Smith makes the save on the rebound. There's going to be an Islander penalty on the play as Perreault was hauled down. And I think Trottier down on his knees there. No, it's Lorimer, who is all wrapped up with Perreault, and Lorimer is going to get the penalty. Live from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island, the Stanley Cup playoff.
Islander penalty, number 4.
I like the idea of mystery. I love elusive people. I dislike very much familiarity. I think it can be a mistake. But what I really love is intimacy. How you create it, it's a woman's choice and pleasure. Like Chanel number 5, bath powder and spray cologne. Chanel, it's one of the pleasures of being a woman.
I'm Jim Robson with Dan Kelly and Jerry Pinder at the Nassau Coliseum. And now it's Buffalo with a man advantage as Lorimer got a holding penalty at 17 minutes of this first period. The Sabres 0 for 9 on their power play in this series. Now trying to get back in the game with a man advantage. At the left point, Richie Dunn shoots. Billy Smith covered up the puck. They put it in the net after the whistle. A lot of pushing and shoving in front as Danny Gare was having a battle with Billy Smith. He pushes Smith and knocked him down. And now they come to Gare, as you knew they would, after the whistle, this outbreak, and now Potvin pushes his glove into Gare's face. Billy Smith very aggressive around the goal crease, involved with Danny Gare there.
Well, Jim, what he did was took a shot at McKegney, who I believe it was banged the puck in after the whistle, and he was banging away at it while Smith was down. But you got to remember one thing. As long as the puck's still alive and he hasn't covered it up, it's fair game, and you can bang away at it, even if you happen to hit the goalie.
Bob Myers is going to settle things down with some penalties here to keep a control of things. It's 2-0 for the Islanders, and this Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
Well, a second mortgage would do the job, but it's not really to your advantage.
Your money. Scotiabank has people that can help you handle it. People who understand your needs. Scotiabank experience. Take advantage of it, because today your money needs all the help it can get. Scotiabank. Everything you need.
You know, I never would have thought of that.
Scotiabank, just around the corner, right around the world. Scotiabank.
No goal. No goal.
Al Arbor there behind him. He's got to be a little bit worried right now, Jim, as we look at Scotty Bowman as well. But that's a good penalty for Bourne to take with Danny Gare going off the ice. Or, pardon me, for Danny Gare to take, because now the Buffalo Sabres have a 4-against-3. And this is the easiest way to set up the power play. There's a replay. You can see Billy Smith take a shot at McKegney with his stick.
Buffalo with the man advantage. They're offside at the blue line. Gare and Bourne were sent off with minors for roughing at 17:15, as you see Bourne joining Lorimer in the Islander penalty box. And, of course, Gare has also assessed the penalty with Bourne. But Buffalo is still on a power play for 1 minute and 41 seconds.
Well, a pretty good penalty, as I mentioned, by Danny Gare. He took a good shot at Billy Smith and knocked him over. But now he gives guys like Perreault and Martin and Rick Sealing a little bit of room to move around.
Scotty Bowman back of his players at the Buffalo bench. It's 2-0 Islanders lead. There's 2:38 left in the first period. Van Boxmeer has the puck. Starting out. Rick Sealing is number 16 coming in with him. Morrill lining up Van Boxmeer, turning in the corner. Perreault's on the right side, waiting for a pass. Van Boxmeer drops it back to Dunn. Fights to keep it onside. Now Perreault has the puck. Rick, now it's Sealing at the side of the net. Playing it out in front. It's tipped away. Buffalo not getting any shots on this situation. There's still 1 minute and 5 seconds left in their power play. Here's Perreault. He's got a lot of moves. Great young center. 10 years of Buffalo Sabres. Their original first draft pick. Now to Van Boxmeer, shoots it high, and it hits Smith in the chest, standing up well to make the save. Perreault was tripped up. Puck is shot down the ice by Potvin as Perreault looks to Myers, hoping to get another Islander penalty. The score 2-0. Islanders lead. That's Richie Dunn rushing out. 1:38 left in the period. Buffalo really needs a goal here to give them a lift late in the period. Rick Sealing with the puck. Perreault's going towards the front of the net. Now Schoenfeld shot from the point. Here's a chance in front for Sealing. Tipped off the stick. Butch Goring shoots the puck down the ice. The Islanders have only lost 2 hockey games since they obtained Butch Goring in a trade from the Los Angeles Kings. Goring is number 21 in the white uniform. You'll see him do a lot of checking, killing the penalty. There he is right at center ice. Sabres on the power play. Puck controlled by Derek Smith, who's number 19 with the puck. Now to Mike Ramsey. Shot. Hit the side of the net. Lane goes to the puck. Scoops it down the ice. Lorimer's racing after it. And the puck is covered up by Edwards. There's equal strength out there. They're 5 aside with Lorimer coming back on the ice. There's Lorimer. His penalty has expired.
Well, a pretty good job by the Islanders of killing that penalty, but a couple of things, Jim. When Gilles Perreault carries the puck up the ice on a power play, he's got to be moving when he hits the Islanders' blue line, and he's not right now. The other thing is the Islanders got to park somebody, whether it be Schoenfeld or whoever, in front of that New York. The Sabres got to park Schoenfeld in front of that New York Islanders net, so he's causing a little bit of trouble because the front of the net was open. When they're shooting from the point, there's nobody to tip it in.
Tall Bill Height, 24 of the Sabres. Player in the background, number 8, is Tony McKegney. D'Amico waiting to drop the puck. 54 seconds left in the period. Chache moves in for the face-off against Derek Smith. A couple of number 19s. Moving around quite a bit. D'Amico still hasn't dropped the puck. He moves Smith out, so McKegney goes in against Trottier. Puck went to the boards, and Trottier got control. Back to Stephen Pearson. A shot blocked. Loose puck in front after Edwards made the initial save. Then he stopped the turning backhander by Brant Trottier, and now the teams are back at full strength as Gare and Bourne are out of the penalty box. Still 2-0. Islanders lead. In goes Bill Height. Plays it back. McKegney's shot. They score! It went off Billy Smith up into the net. McKegney scores for Buffalo, and it's 2-1.
Well, with 32 seconds left, you sure don't expect something like that to happen. And actually, McKegney didn't get very much wood on that. Watch the play Billy Height makes here. Carries the puck over the blue line, hits McKegney down the left side. Now, Billy Smith gets a good piece of the puck, and I think he was more surprised than anybody that it went in. Up over his pads, and he thought it went wide of the net, but there it is. Bad time to let the Buffalo Sabres score a goal.
McKegney from Height at 19:28 of the first period.
Buffalo goal, his second of the playoffs.
Second playoff goal for Tony McKegney. Buffalo's back in it. A second assist to Derek Smith. Now in the dying seconds of the first period, it's 2-1 Islanders. A big lift for Buffalo, that goal in the last minute of the period. They really needed it. They didn't get it on the power play, but they got it on a shot that appeared to be an innocent one. You never know. In goes Derek Smith. Tripped off the puck by Stephen Pearson. It's scooped out the center as the horn goes. And Mike Bossy shaking his head a little bit. He's unhappy. He's got a goal. His team's ahead, but he doesn't want to see that Buffalo goal in the last minute of the period.
Well, a heck of a period as far as the New York Islanders are concerned, Jim. It was a very well-played period.
So the score at the end of the first period, the New York Islanders 2, the Buffalo Sabres 1.
Shots on goal of the first.
9, and New York had the first 2 goals of the game. Mike Bossy's 5th of the playoffs, followed by Wayne Merrick's 2nd, and the Sabres got one in the final minute. Tony McKegney scoring his 2nd goal of the playoffs, and we can start on a positive note where the Buffalo Sabres and Richard Martin are concerned by talking about the McKegney goal. If ever you needed a lift, it was down 2-0, and hopefully to take some sort of confidence to the dressing room, and I guess you hope that McKegney's goal gave you that.
Yeah, I think so. I hope we can carry that in the second period and the third. And maybe Smith, he looked kind of shaky on that goal, so hopefully we'll be able to get a couple by him.
The fact remains, though, that the Sabres only scored once in each of the first 2 games, and you have to be asking yourself why. Is there a reason beyond Billy Smith, something the Islanders are doing in taking away the chances that Buffalo would normally get?
I think we've had a lot of good scoring opportunities, but Billy Smith seems to be anticipating a lot. He sees the puck move to one area and he just slides over, and he doesn't even care where he's just throwing himself where he thinks the puck's going. So I think he's been guessing pretty good up to now. He's been making some really good saves too. You can't take that away from him. He played really good games, but I think we're going to try to be a little more selective with our shots.
You opened the game as a right winger in a line with Don Luce and Andre Savard. The injuries to Craig Ramsey and Rick Dudley, of course, necessitate this. Strange for you. How do you react to that?
Yeah, I played there at the start of the year a little, but it's a little strange, when just you're thrown right in there. I think I might play left wing for the rest of the game. I don't care where I play, just as long as we can come out with a victory.
Well, we're liable to see a lot of combinations, and of course, that was the way Scotty Bowman handled things in Montreal. But with Buffalo, it really hasn't been the case because you haven't had the injuries to make it necessary this year.
Yeah, but we've still thrown all sorts of combinations all year. We've switched off guys here and there, and Craig Ramsey usually was playing against usually the top scoring right winger, and Craig would play with any line, so we got to play with every line really, so it's nothing new.
I must ask you about the power play. Would you explain the lack of efficiency on the power play the same way as Smith's goaltending, or are there things happening there that are upsetting you?
I think we've been making a lot of passes. The passes don't seem to be in the right place where you're getting them on a backhand or something, and you have to bring it back. And I think maybe our passing could be a little sharper, but hopefully we'll get it going. Like I said, we'll come out with a win.
But psychologically, the Sabres have lost 2 games in a row, the first 2 games of these playoffs. I don't know how often that happened during the regular season, but I wouldn't imagine it happened too often.
I think it happened once, and we always came back from it. And I know we started out a little shaky, a little nervous, but I think we're starting to get our composure back, and I think we can pull it out. We've managed to play pretty well most of the year, and even in the playoffs so far. So I think we played well enough to win those games in Buffalo. So I think we don't
lack confidence. I just think we just got to go out and work a little harder, and things will happen.
Well, a lot of good things had to happen for Buffalo to finish second. Playing under pressure and playing on the road were something that the Sabres handled well. Rick, thank you very much for handling this time well. And coming up next, a special guest, the coach of the United States Olympic team, the gold medalist Herb Brooks. The Stanley Cup 80 continues in just a moment. Islanders 2 and Buffalo 1, renewed hope for the Sabres after Tony McKegney's last-minute first-period goal. And the face you're looking at is a familiar one throughout the United States, throughout the world, we should say. When last we saw him, the arm was usually in the air in the happiest moments, but of course I speak of Herb Brooks, the coach of the United States Olympic gold medalists, who is now to be referred to as the coach of Davos, Switzerland. I think our viewers would like to know what led to that decision.
Well, let's just say, David, no other opportunities. So it wasn't, everybody said it was a really tough decision. It wasn't. There was nothing really formal anyplace else, and I had resigned at the University of Minnesota. And after reviewing, their contract and offer and everything considered, it was the place to go.
It sounds as though you would have preferred to go to the NHL, but in saying that there were no other opportunities, this was your choice. Was your preference for the NHL?
Well, yes. The Switzerland lacks the prestige and the quality of the National Hockey League, whatever, and there's a lot of things in life we'd like to do that sometimes we don't get an opportunity to do. And the people that I've talked to in the National Hockey League said, well, those decisions are May and June, and I can understand that. And the people over there said, well, I had to give them an answer by the end of April, and I was between a rock and a hard place. And when I started looking at the overall contract, the quality of life, the dollars involved, and I guess if I even did get an offer in the NHL, it would be tough to beat it.
Well, there are
look at that, but who knows?
There are reports that Herb Brooks could still wind up in the National Hockey League next season, and I assume perhaps they may be watching in Davos. I don't know. So I won't ask you if that eventuality could take place. But I will ask you, is coaching the NHL still something you would like to do?
Well, I'd be less than honest, David, if I said no. It's the Premier League. There's no question about it, and it's one of my dreams, and something I would like to do. But as I said, sometimes we all have dreams. Sometimes they don't materialize. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
You had a dream, and a lot of people had a dream that the U.S. might win the gold medal at the Olympics. Is that a once-in-a-lifetime thing, or in 1984, if Olympics still exist then, is it something you'd consider again?
Well, I think it's a one-lifetime thing in the United States. They take that job and they circle it around, and I think they should, because there's a lot of qualified coaches in the United States, as there are in North America in general. And I think it's good for morale and for everybody to get an opportunity to coach an Olympic team. So I think that's it for me.
The Olympics were quite an experience for many of your players, all of your players. Jim Craig of the Atlanta Flames had all sorts of things happen to him during the Olympics, and a lot of good things and maybe some not so good things happen afterwards. What's it done for your life? How's it changed it?
Well, I'm still washing dishes at home. Nothing's changed at home. My family can keep things in the proper perspective, but I've been doing a lot of traveling, doing a lot of speaking, working for maybe 8 different corporations around the United States, attending sales conventions and what have you. Public speaking, a lot of traveling. That's about the difference. No more recruiting, and that's that's something different.
Traveling will come in handy as you move to Davos, Switzerland, or wherever next year. Thank you, Herb, very much. We'll return to the Stanley Cup playoffs in just a moment.
It keeps on tasting great.
From Uniondale, New York, specifically the Nassau Memorial County Coliseum. This is Game 3. Stanley Cup semifinals, the Islanders ahead 2-0 in games and 2-1 in this game. And Howie, we talked about the necessity of Buffalo to get a good start, and what happened was anything but a good start for Buffalo.
Oh, they were just horrible right off the bat. They coughed up the puck in their own end, and let's say on the other hand, I've never seen the Islanders come out of their own end as well as they did, or move the puck in the Buffalo zone into scoring position. They were just super on offense. It could have been 3 or 4 or 5-0. But certainly Buffalo has to rub a few bodies, knock a couple of guys around, and clear out in front of the net. And here we have a highlight to show you. This is right off the start of the game. And as soon as I saw this, I said, oh, Bowman's going to have a bad, bad night.
Well, he couldn't have liked what happened, as you say, from the opening faceoff. A lot of sustained action, which normally is what Buffalo wants. But in this case, it was all Islanders.
All right, watch. There's Schoenfield and Savard in the corner, and Goring and Sutter. Look, no one comes in and knocks anybody down. You just can't let 21 and and 12 stand there and do nothing. Now he comes up with the puck and throws it in the slot, and the slot is wide open. Where's the defense? And it's moved around, and there's a shot on the net that really, and look at 3 Islanders standing in front of the net and no one knocking them down. That's been going on all night long. I just can't understand how the Islanders haven't got half a dozen goals.
Well, they got the first one on a shot by Mike Bossy from the right wing. He shot from fairly well out, and I'm not so sure that Don Edwards either expected him to shoot from that point or Edwards really knew what his position should be.
Well, you're right. He got caught counting the house or looking at the good blonde in the blue line or someone drinking beer because...
Which blue line is that?
Well, anyway, I'll tell you. But certainly Buffalo had the puck. Perreault shot it into the Islander end, and you'll see it here. Perreault will come up with the puck. Nobody else skates this big fellow when he's going. He just dumps it in the corner, and Martin on his wrong wing goes in and picks it up. And he tries to throw it in the slot. And it's a bad pass, hits the skate. No way in the world now. Can we stop it right here? It hits the skate. Stop it right here, fellas. Now look at all year long, Buffalo being the best in the league defensively because their defense played the red line, not the blue line. Okay, let her go from here. Now watch where the defense is. Can you roll it from there, fellas? Super. Look at this pass. Okay. That goes to Bossy. And look at the defense. The left defenseman, I think it's Schoenfield, caught. No way in the world. The right defenseman's caught as well. Okay, now let's watch Bossy let the shot go. He has a good shot, folks. There's no doubt about that. But watch where Edwards is. He has to be, right now, Bossy says, I'm shooting. Edwards has to have the legs together, coming out. He should be 6 feet on top of the crease. Look where he is, just on the edge of the crease, and the good shot beats him. Certainly, he shouldn't have to move to make a save from a shot from that position.
And didn't seem to have his arms and his stick and his glove exactly where they wanted to be. And I think it's unfortunate to start a game like that for Don Edwards, although he's come back with some big saves. But really, Buffalo, if they get a lead in a game in this series, could make it a very different kind of a series. Yet, in 3 straight games, they've been unable to do that.
Well, I think they've had a lead for something like 6 minutes against this Islander team, the way they're playing. I just think it's super. I've never seen them play with so much confidence, so much poise, and that Dennis Potvin is doing less, but really doing more and doing it better than he's ever done it before. He's a take charge.
Look at that power play, which hasn't been too productive for either team.
Interesting thing here, the way the Islanders control it. But just watch. They'll throw it around the outside, then they'll flood the front of the net. They'll put 3 fellas in there, and this reduces the size of the box. Buffalo's playing the box, and all that the Islanders are doing, look, are trying to get the shot. If we could stop it right there. All right, let her go, fellas. Look at it in front of the net. Nobody is being knocked down. Everybody's standing around and watching. Now watch how they keep the box small. Just dump it back to the point. It goes in on the net, and look, there's 4 white sweaters in there looking for the rebound. Sooner or later, it has to go in the net. Super puck control. They play the angles. There it is again. They're continually getting the soft shot from the top of the circle, and they're just going to get killed unless they get out and attack those points.
Before anybody corrects me, I'll correct myself. Buffalo did have the lead in the first game. It was their inability to score the second goal while they had the 5-minute advantage that really was the story of that game. So, yeah, Buffalo led for 5 or 6 minutes, as you say. Yeah. Okay, let's go now to Jim Robson, Jerry Pinder, as we get ready for the second period.
Thank you, Dave Hodge. Well, in the first period, as you look at the Sabres in their dark blue uniforms, in the colorful summary of the first period, Mike Bossy's goal set up by Trottier. Merrick's goal was assisted by Tonelli with a good work from behind the net. McKegney's surprising goal in the last minute from Hythen Smith. And you see the Islanders with quite an edge in shots on goal. And Dennis Potvin led the shooters. He had 3 shots on goal. And we'll zero in on playoff hockey come Tuesday night as Stanley Cup 80 continues from Long Island or Minnesota Tuesday night. We'll bring you a key playoff game at that time. The teams are at full strength starting the second period. The Sabres in the blue uniforms to your right. The Islanders in the home white with blue and orange to your left. Billy Smith, the goaltender for the Islanders. Don Edwards in goal for Buffalo. The score is 2-1 New York. Danny Gare keeping the puck in. Bumped by Lane. This is Smith. McKegney's going to the front of the net. The pass went high, rattling around on the boards. Dwayne Sutter starts out. To Goring. Now for Clark Gillies, picking it up from behind him, but his shot was blocked. Derek Smith has the puck. Smith is 19, Gare is 18, McKegney is 8. That's the forward line for Buffalo as Gare moves in on Morrow and Lane. And the puck steered behind the net for Lane, the former Washington Capital, who worked his way up through the low minors of hockey, started out in the International League. Good hard-working defenseman, 3-on-2 Islanders. Sutter with Goring and Gillies. Sutter to the corner, took a check from Richie Dunn, and Smith comes back to pick up the loose puck. McKegney, who has scored the Buffalo goal, lets a long shot go, and Smith turned it aside. And McKegney paid for that shot as he was decked by Denny Potvin. Back comes Dwayne Sutter. Now into Tonelli. He shoots. A good save. Another shot. Edwards covered it up. And then Edwards was wrapped by Tonelli's stick as he went to the front of the net. Gary Pinder.
Well, a pretty good move by John Tonelli as he cut to the inside and caught the Buffalo defenseman looking. Watch him go inside here. Real good move, and he gets a quick shot away, but certainly Don Edwards looking very sharp on that play, in contrast to the goal which Mike Bossy scored, where Don Edwards really didn't look very sharp.
Donnie Edwards, who was a 5th-round draft choice the same year that Bob Sauve, his goaltending partner, was a 1st-round draft choice. 2 young goaltenders who were the best in the league over the regular season, winning the Vezina Trophy. We played 1 minute and 13 seconds of the second period. The score is 2-1 Islanders. That's Jim Schoenfeld with the puck, being bothered by Tonelli, who worked so hard, keeping after him. Now Van Boxmeer to Perreault at center. This is Perreault with the puck. Coming in on Lorimer. Drops it to Martin. He shoots it, deflect off Lorimer's stick as he reached in to deflect the shot into the crowd.
Jim, Scotty Bowman, a master at juggling the lines, has Perreault back at center with Rick Martin on the left side and Sealing on the right side. But Perreault has played 3 different positions in the first period. He played left, right wings, and he played center as well. And I don't know if Al Arbour's content to have Trottier out against him. Right now, it appears to be Merrick against Perreault, but Bowman is a master juggler, as I mentioned, and he's trying to keep Al Arbour and the rest of the New York Islander team off balance by playing Perreault and Martin at all different positions up front, and he's trying to keep Rick Martin away from Bobby Nystrom on the right side.
One thing you will notice is that every time Perreault is on the ice, number 5 of the Islanders, Dennis Potvin, is on the ice. Although he's a defenseman, he doesn't match up necessarily. That is a situation that Al Arbour seems to be trying to dictate. From the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island, this is Stanley Cup 80.
Your rock is off its rocks, or you just lost your socks. Stick with the pages. When you're going down to sea, when you can't find your keys, stick with the pages. You can mend a broken heart so it doesn't come apart. If your house has had enough, if you're building new stuff, stick with the pages. It sticks for ages, and the pages will stick with you. Yeah.
Here at the Nassau Coliseum, one of the banners hanging from the rafters. Islanders leading the game 2-1, leading the series 2-0. John D'Amico will drop the puck between the rival number 11, Gilbert Perreault, and Wayne Merrick, who has scored one of the 2 Islander goals. Sabres trying to keep it in, but now Merrick gets the puck ahead to Bob Bourne, who's out there with Nystrom, number 23, as they come in. Nystrom in the slot. Bump. Couldn't get a shot as Schoenfeld fell. The puck went loose. It's still in play along the boards near the corner. Still in skates. It kicked loose. Nystrom from behind the net. Centering it. Scramble. It's kicked into the crease. Still in play. Now Myers lost sight of the puck. He stops the play.
Well, a wild scramble there in front of Don Edwards, but as we look at Bobby Nystrom with the big overtime goal the other night in the second overtime period. But maybe later on in the show, we'll get into a little bit of the coaching strategy that both Scotty Bowman and Al Arbour are trying to employ in this game. But now, Jim, back to the faceoff.
Islanders leading 2-1. Puck is scooped off of Rick Martin's stick out to center. This is Lorimer in possession. Tipped off Martin over to Dennis Potvin. Up front, number 8, Howitt. Number 11, Merrick. 23, Nystrom. Some more line juggling as Howitt is out there. That's him hustling after the puck, but it's shot into the Islander bench by John Van Buckner.
Richard Martin, who's been playing opposite Bob Nystrom, but in the first period, Scotty Bowman moved him over on the right side, and Nystrom was playing the right side, so he got him away from it. This period, Bowman seems content to just let Martin go head-to-head with Nystrom.
So Martin is out there, and there's Scotty Bowman pacing up and down. That's Jimmy Roberts along there with him with a headset on, talking to another assistant coach of the Sabres, Roger Nielsen, who's up in the press box. Schoenfeld from behind the net to Van Boxmeer. Almost handed it away to Nystrom, who was anticipating that play. Edwards steers the puck to Van Boxmeer. Forechecked by Merrick. Now Perreault. Sealing didn't see his pass. Pace slowing up a little bit here at the start of the second period. A little more cautious. In comes Potvin. Nystrom going to the front of the net, but the pass didn't get through, and he was tripped up and went into the goal. And Perreault actually seemed to apologize to him as he tripped him up. Gilles, don't apologize to him. Don't help him up either. Lorimer getting the puck. Now it's Dennis Potvin. Hard pass controlled by Bossy. Just past the 3-minute mark of the period. Steal by Perreault, centering it, and went across in front. It's steered out by Howitt. Now Wayne Merrick looking for Bossy, moving in on Height. Bossy going to the corner, stopped, lost control of the puck. Height, nice backhand pass, picked up by Andre Savard, the former Boston Bruin, shooting it in. Controlled by McClanahan out of the corner. His pass came back to the point. A shot went high. Bounces to the side of the Islander goal. Back to the left point to Richie Dunn. His shot went high. Can't keep those point shots down. And a puck is grabbed and held by Billy Smith. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
Hey, Mercury Zephyr, is it true what we've been hearing?
Yep. This 6-cylinder Zephyr is rated at 30.2 miles per gallon.
Better than Aspen, Valori, Pontiac, Phoenix, and Chevy Citation.
Oh, there's more. This 4-cylinder wagon is rated at 33 miles per gallon.
Beating Toyota Corona?
Better than AMC Concord, even better than Volvo.
Yep. And check the low price of this Zephyr 2-door sedan. If you're looking for proven value, fuel economy, and low price, test drive a Mercury Zephyr today. At the sign of the cat.
Scotty Bowman, as he looks on.
Always got that ice in his hand, doesn't he?
He sure does. He loves to eat that ice.
Islanders in possession of the puck. Bossy goes to it near the corner, backhands it around to the boards for Bourne. Number 14 is Bob Bourne. That's Trottier with him as Bourne is spun around. McClanahan couldn't reach the puck. Bossy passed to Trottier. Now to Bourne. A good skater coming in on goal. Knocked to his knees. Keeps fishing for the puck. Couldn't control it. It goes to the corner. Covered up on the boards. Now controlled by Savard, who dumped it out. Icing waved off. Langevin is number 26 after the puck. Forechecked by McClanahan. A couple of boys from Minnesota. Puck banked around on the boards in the New York zone as Buffalo makes the line change. Bossy. Now for Trottier, making a move to go in after the puck. Centered it. It's steered away from in front. Gare to McKegney, surrounded by Islanders as he goes into the attack. Flowed up. Gare's shot went off the target, and Gare went into the end boards. And Gare's playing hurt tonight, like some players are in this situation. This is Clark Gillies moving in on Playfair, and Derek Smith backfilling for a defenseman who got caught up the ice. Gillies covered it up in the corner. Looks like he wants a face-off to get a stoppage in play, and he gets it.
So Clark Gillies matched up against Danny Gare. It's a bit of a mismatch in terms of size, but as you mentioned, Danny Gare playing with the flu. He wasn't at practice this morning, and I believe he was also hurt in the first game in Buffalo when he took a stiff check from Denny Potvin. So there's a guy who's captain of the Buffalo Sabres, and rightly so. He's playing with an awful lot of courage tonight, Jim.
That's the kind of a player Gare is. And there's Butch Goring, talented center iceman, now a New York Islander, and on the face-off, they stopped the play.
Jim, while we have a stoppage of play here, I just want to take the opportunity to wish our Regina Pats the best of luck in the Memorial Cup, which opens in Brandon tomorrow night against the Pats Open against the Peterborough Petes.
They might be your Regina Pats, but we're going everywhere. The Memorial Cup is the Canadian Junior Championship being played in the central part of Canada this month. Gilly centering it, a great save by Edwards on that chance in front by young Dwayne Sutter. Sutter had that good chance, and look at him work after the puck. The crowd responded to his effort as McKegney got it to Smith, to Playfair. The big youngster from Fort St. James, British Columbia, had to find a good map to find that town. Puck is steered around on the boards in Islander territory, being brought up by Sutter, couldn't get all the way out. Derek Smith scoops it in front. Oh, Billy Smith had trouble with it. Looked a little shaky, but he covered up the puck. This is Stanley Cup 80 from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
It takes calm, unhurried patience to brew Bordeaux.
so take the time to appreciate it. Bradolph from Molson. Take the time.
Billy Smith in the nets, and he looked a little shaky on that last long shot, just as he did on the only goal that was scored. A little delay on the face-off. Bourne and Mongrain ready to face off as Merrick had been sent back to the bench by the officials. Ruff moved into the circle with Gillies. They'll line up again, staying out of that circle on the face-off. Islanders get possession, a little mixed up there at the side of the goal. Bourne controlling the puck, takes it back of Smith to settle things down. Islanders lead 2-1. Nystrom's pass went off a skate. Puck played off the boards by Morrow. Schoenfeld with the puck. Waits for his mates to get onside and dumps it in. Gillies back for the puck. Put it behind the net to Lane. Checked by Mongrain. Went back the other way. Now to Gillies. Nearing the 6-minute mark. Second period. 2-1 Islanders lead. This might be icing. A race for the puck. Icing called on New York. You know, at this time, I'd like to pass along a special hello to all hospital patients and shut-ins, the fans who can't get out to hockey games. But I hope you're enjoying our telecast tonight across Canada and the United States. And there's a boy who was born in Sweden but raised in British Columbia, Bob Nystrom. And he's a good clutch player for this New York team.
Well, he really is, as we look at Al Arbour. And Arbour has really, with this hockey club, the New York Islanders, a little more depth, I think, than Scotty has in Buffalo. And you might not think so because of the positions they finished in during the regular season, but they've done a pretty good job on Buffalo in the early going in this series.
During the regular season, Buffalo had the edge on the Islanders, 2 wins. Islanders had 1 win, and there was a tie. In this building, they played twice and each got a victory. Lane with the puck on the inboards, having difficulty, being pressured. Got it around on the boards for Trottier, couldn't get it out. Now it's the Islanders having a little trouble in their own zone. And Buffalo get another face-off in New York territory. Ryan Trottier, the former most valuable player. Stanley Cup 80 continues from Long Island or Minnesota, Tuesday, May the 6th. We're down to 4 teams now, and 4 excellent hockey teams, and they're young teams, too.
They're going to be around for a while, Jim, because of their age.
Face-off in New York territory. The score here, the Islanders 2, the Sabres 1. Bossy and Merrick scored for New York, and then McKechnie scored for Buffalo in the last minute of the first period. Mongrain wound up to shoot, was checked. Mark Gillies comes out with the puck, lost it. Robert Mongrain, the rookie out of Quebec, on the left now. A shot by Lindy Ruff, tipped high off of Morrow's stick, and it deflected to the crowd.
You need a calculator to keep track of the combinations these two coaches are throwing out there. What Al Arbour's done now, he has Butch Goring playing center, Clark Gillies on the left side, and Brian Trottier, the centerman of the big line with Mike Bossy, playing the right side. I don't really know what he's trying to do. It appears to me that Bowman and Arbour are trying to confuse each other in terms of line matchups. And of course, Al Arbour in his own building tonight has the last change, so he can throw whoever he wants out there after Scotty settled on his players. That's why the home team has the edge in hockey so often, because the home team has the last say in who plays against who. But surprisingly, in the playoffs this year, it's been almost even. Home and away records of these teams all through the playoffs. Just a slight edge for the home club. And a lot of matching up going on in this second period, and another stoppage of play. And the play has really slowed down and tightened up, and I would imagine, Jerry Pinder, that's what Buffalo wants. Well, I think so, and they've kept the puck in the Islanders' end for quite a while now here, not really having any dangerous shots. But when Scotty Bowman loses players like Rick Dudley and Craig Ramsey off his forward line, he's getting pretty thin on the depth chart. And he's going to have to go with his best 6-7 forwards later on in the game if they're down or not ahead by 2 or 3 goals, because it's a very important game for them to win. They don't win this hockey game and they're out of the series.
Face off to Billy Smith's right as they line up Mongrain and Bourne. Mongrain skates over to say something to Ruff, another rookie, one of 4 rookies in the Buffalo lineup. 2 rookies in the Islander lineup tonight. Puck came back to Ramsey, a shot deflected on Smith. He scrambles out of the net, couldn't control the puck, but it's steered away. Playfair scoops it in. Ruff from behind the net. Lindy Ruff centering it. It's steered away by Potvin. Tonelli to Bourne. Skating in on Mike Ramsey. Bourne shoots, it deflects wide. Merrick with the puck, flipped it in front, it went high to the corner. Gare hustles after it there. Coming out with the puck. Ahead to Mongrain. Rough trailing. Mongrain shot. Good stop by Smith. Good shot by young Mongrain. Denny Potvin with the puck, and all of a sudden the speed picks up. In goes Bob Lorimer. Drops it to Sutter. A shot. Missed the far corner. Potvin from the left point. Passes it into the slot. A pass on the right for Sutter. Taking it off the board. Checked away by Rick Martin. Pinelli with the puck. Tried to center it. It's steered back to the line and out. 7.5 minutes gone. Second period. Islanders 2, Sabres 1. Playfair with the puck. Bumped by Trottier. Good solid hit by Trottier. Morrow puts the puck off the boards. Rick Martin intercepts. Oh, he took a solid bump from Morrow. That broke up the play the other way. Sutter with the puck. Now to Tonelli. Sutter racing up to join him. Tonelli making moves to Trottier. A shot in front. Bounces up in the air, and the goaltender, Donnie Edwards, says, look what I've got.
Well, it was a low shot, and really it was just meant to be tipped in front of that net. It wasn't a hard shot either. Watch as Tonelli moves the puck over the blue line here, and Sutter heads for the net. Good play by Sutter. He just goes straight to the front of the net. And Brian Trottier, a low shot, not a particularly hard one, but he sees Sutter in front of the net, and of course Donnie Edwards comes up with a big save. Actually, of Edwards, outside of the first goal by Bossy and Edwards and Billy Smith, Edwards has looked a little sharper tonight, I think. Yeah.
Well executed play by the Islanders with Trottier, Nystrom, and Bourne up front for New York now. On defense, number 6 Morrow and number 24 Lane. As Perreault and Trottier are waved out of the circle by linesman Swede Knox. Bob Bourne is skating in for New York, and we'll see who. It'll be young McClanahan, number 15, coming in for Buffalo on the face-off. Morrow with a shot from the point, blocked by Rick Martin, trying to get loose. This is Rick Martin. Morrow slowing him down. Martin passes. Perreault shoots. He scores. Great shot. Perreault ties it up at 2-2.
Well, Rick Martin made one heck of a play. He sticks with it here, and he could have gone down very early when he was at his own blue line. He was hooked by Morrow and could have gone down and maybe tried to draw a penalty, but he sticks with it. Watch the play he makes to Gilles Perreault, and Billy Smith has no chance. This is just underneath the crossbar in the top left-hand corner. Martin sticks with it, drops it to Perreault. Watch the shot. Right underneath the crossbar. No chance for Billy Smith. But Jim, Gilbert Perreault has to take the bull by the horns in this series. He's got to lead the Buffalo Sabres because they've got too many injuries to depend on anyone else.
Is there a goaltender in the game who could have stopped that shot?
Absolutely not a chance.
I doubt it very much. A great shot by Perreault from Martin at 8:12 of the second period. It's a 2-2 tie. It's a brand new hockey game. Trottier. Pass intercepted by Perreault. Looking for Martin. Tipped off a stick. Potvin turning with the puck. Now Trottier in possession. Brian Trottier, former scoring champion and most valuable player in the National Hockey League. Battle for the puck near the corner. Van Boxmeer played it around on the boards. Flanagan bumping with Potvin. This is Nystrom winning a fight for the puck. Behind the net for Trottier. Coming in front. He scores! Brian Trottier from behind the net. And it's now 3-2 Islanders.
Well, Brian Trottier took that pass behind the net, and all he did, Jim, was wheel around in front. If Edwards leaves the puck alone, I believe it's going to go through the crease and out the other side. But I think it went off Donnie Edwards' stick. Islanders forechecking very well. Watch the puck come around behind the net to Trottier. Potvin fires it from the point. Now watch him turn around. Nystrom, passes it. There it goes. I think it went off Edwards' skate. If he leaves that puck alone, it's going right through the crease and it's no goal. But evidently he thought it was right on the net.
Trottier from Nystrom, 8:57. Trottier's 7th playoff goal this season, and Edwards makes a save on a drive and hangs onto the puck, and Donnie Edwards will still be thinking, as you look at him now, about that goal scored from behind the net.
Well, he's got to be dejected right now. I think he realizes if he leaves the puck alone, it's not dangerous to him. But sometimes it's hard to tell. It's a very bad angle Trottier was coming out from behind the net from, and he probably thought that was going in the far corner.
A big lift for the Islanders just when they really needed it. Perreault's goal gave Buffalo a brief spark, but less than a minute later, 45 seconds later, Trottier scores, and it's 3-2 Islanders. Goring from behind the net. Butch Goring squeezed and taken out by Richie Dunn. Loose feeds it ahead to Savard. This is Rick Sealing dumping it in. Langevin stood him up at the blue line, and Smith almost got caught out of position as the puck bounced crazily. Goring one-on-one on Dunn. Butch Goring. Dunn stayed with him, played it well. Puck wound up in the corner, but Goring goes to it again. Battle for it there. Goring comes out with the puck to the point. Langevin shoots, kicked out by Edwards. Dunn scooped it away in front. Sealing with the puck. Good action. We're halfway through the second period. End the game, and it's 3-2 Islanders. Wayne Merrick turning with the puck. Loose moves to check him. Pass went back to Langevin from St. Paul, Minnesota. Took a pass in front of the net for Merrick. It slides through to Edwards. He's not going to take any chances. With the score, the Islanders 3, the Sabres 2. This is Stanley Cup 80.
What makes Seiko the world's best-selling quality quartz watch? The ultra-thin elegance of Seiko's classic styling? Or is it the rich perfection of every brilliant detail? Or Seiko technology that created the first analog quartz alarm? What makes Seiko the best-selling quality quartz watch? Maybe it's simply the best. So give him Seiko, first in quality quartz, time after time after time.
And now to take over the play-by-play, the voice of the St. Louis Blues in NHL 80, one of North America's finest sports announcers, Dan Kelly.
Thank you, Jim Robson. Heck of a hockey game here on Long Island as the Islanders with a 3-2 lead clear it in. Mike Ramsey for Buffalo. DeGuerre, who quickly cleared it to center. Morrow for the Islanders, now to Sutter. And number 11, Wayne Merrick takes over. Here's Gord Lane for New York. Tomorrow, number 6. Islanders try and shoot it in. Sutter tied up at the blue line, and then the play goes offside at the Sabre blue line.
Dan, the momentum appears to have shifted after that goal by Brian Trottier as we look at Olympic gold medalist Mike Ramsey of the U.S., formerly of the U.S. Olympic team. But previous to that goal by the Islanders, they were going nowhere in the first 10 minutes of that period.
Buffalo has played much better in this period and tied the game at 2, and then the Islanders quickly on a spin-around play by Trottier take the lead. Here's Gare, the Sabre captain, to McKegney, number 8. Now to Smith, number 19, and it's poked away from him by Morrow. McKegney jammed him out of the play. Here's Wayne Merrick, lead pass to Tonelli. Tonelli into the corner against Playfair. They tie each other up. Now, still held on the boards back of the net as Merrick was tied up by Gare and Smith. And we have some pushing and shoving in behind the Buffalo goal.
Well, the pushing and shoving there. John Tonelli wheeled around after being held on the boards by Playfair and ran right into linesman John D'Amico. And they looked at each other. I thought for a minute he might be on his way to the penalty box with a misconduct. But I think it was accidental, Dan.
John Tonelli, one of the hard workers on that New York Islander team. Here's a look at how things got underway.
Well, Playfair has Tonelli in the corner, and he swings away here. And shortly after this runs into John D'Amico. There it is.
Back to the live action, face-off in the Buffalo zone. Sabres Playfair around on the boards. Ramsey head-manning it to McKegney, number 8. McKegney, quick wrist shot, skate save by Smith. Morrow takes McKegney out of the play. Here's Derek Smith in front to Gare, and it's cleared away by Lane. Now Sutter for New York. Lead pass to Tonelli. Trying to go around Playfair. Tonelli centers one off of Sutter and just wide of the net as it went through the crease. McKegney for Buffalo. To Ramsey, he's checked. Tonelli held it in, and now Playfair takes over for Buffalo to number 19, Smith. Back for Mike Ramsey. He fires one right down the middle. It goes into the Islanders zone. Didn't cross the red line, so there's no icing. Here's Dennis Potvin, the New York Islander captain. Fell and then fell on top of the puck right at the New York Islander blue line, and that's where the faceoff will be with 8:02 left in the second period.
Well, the Buffalo Sabres really haven't put a whole lot of offensive pressure on the Islanders. And it's people, as I mentioned earlier, like Gil Perreault and Rick Martin, who really have to come to the fore at this point in time against the Islanders. The Islanders are in their own rink. They have last change. So Perreault's going to have to play against whoever Al Arbour wants him to play against, and he might as well get used to it for the next game and a half. And he's going to have to play extremely well for Buffalo to win.
Here's Stefan Persson for the Islanders, flipping one to center, and it's Trottier who scored that last Islander goal, dumping it in. Schoenfeld, number 6, has it for the Sabres. Around to the boards for Bill Hike. Feeds out on right wing to Van Boxmeer, now to Mongrain, number 25, ahead to Lindy Ruff, off his skate, but the play is offside anyway at the New York Islander blue line. Stanley Cup 80 will continue in just a moment.
Anybody want to play around the clock?
Gee, I'd get tired after a couple hours. First, you have to start with a double.
Can I just stick with my golden?
Yeah. Hi, what's your sign?
Excellent.
Why is it some chicks can't take yes for an answer?
How do you feel about dark? Oh, about the same as please.
It's all in the wrist.
It's all in the glass.
The point of this commercial? When it's a good, smooth golden, you go for it.
7 minutes, 39 seconds left in the second period. Islanders leading 3-2. Goals by Bossy, Merrick, and Trottier. Buffalo's goals by McKegney and Perreault. And we continue that line jockeying between two of the best in the business at that, Bowman and Arbour.
Well, they really are, and what we saw there was Scotty Bowman realizes Nystrom isn't on the ice, and he puts Gil Perreault out on the left side to play against Mike Bossy.
Here is Butch Goring, number 21. Got it to center. Perreault playing right wing, moves into the Islander zone. Quick shot, and he fired well wide of the Islander goal. Bossy back of the net to Langevin. Perreault in to knock him down, and the play had been whistled down.
There's going
to
be
a scuffle back on the boards here.
There's going to be a double penalty here, I believe. Mike Bossy and Lindy Ruff going off the ice. And as far as the Buffalo Sabres are concerned, Dan, this is a very, very good penalty. Lindy Ruff, who hasn't played that much and not the prolific goal scorer that Mike Bossy, but he takes him off the ice for 2 minutes, so it's a good play by Ruff. He's a big, rugged, young left winger.
Normally a defenseman, but the Sabres this year have made their second draft choice of forward, but he was a defenseman for all intents and purposes. Roughing penalty at 12:36 here of the second period. It's a good point. When you take a guy that averages 50-some goals per season in this league off the ice, you're Lindy Ruff, you're doing your job.
Get him off the ice. You don't want Mike Bossy floating around out there, as we saw in the first period. He hasn't had many shots, but he makes the ones that he gets count.
Each team a man short. Ruff off for Buffalo, Bossy for the New York Islanders. The linesman Sweet Knox ready to drop the puck. Perreault gets the face-off. Sealing couldn't get a shot away. And here's Dennis Potvin. Comley giving it to Lorimer. They work it to Trottier. Trottier then checked by Van Boxmeer, and back is Lorimer to cover up. For Bourne. Over to Dennis Potvin, number 5. Potvin missed much of this season with injuries, but back strong in the playoffs to Lorimer. Back to Potvin. Works it in on left wing for Bourne. Bourne into a sharp angle, centered it. Schoenfeld chipped it away. Sabres work it to number 11, Perreault. He's checked, but covering up on the play is Schoenfeld. Jim Schoenfeld headmans it to Sealing, number 16. Leaves for Schoenfeld. Schoenfeld skated off on the play, and Schoenfeld upends Bourne. Fans holler about that. And two Islanders jam Schoenfeld in against the boards and cause a face-off in the Islander end of the rink.
Well, there's Bob Myers, the referee for tonight's game, and he's done an excellent job. A couple of things that the referees don't want to do during the playoffs. One thing is when you get two very volatile hockey clubs like the Sabres and the Islanders playing tonight, you don't want to let the game get out of hand. You don't want a brawl starting, and he's done an excellent job in that respect. On the other hand, you've got to call enough penalties to make sure that the teams realize they can't be brawling. What they don't want to do is call a bunch of silly little ones that slows down the pace of the game. After all, you pay $15 or $20 to come to a playoff, Dan. You don't want to watch the referees. You want to watch the players.
Good point. Here's Goring. Over to Lane, number 24, is the Islanders, who lead 3-2. Fire it into the Buffalo zone. That's Dunn back to pick it up. Dunn on left wing for Richard Martin. Now to Mongrain, number 25, trying to get it to Martin. Does, but Martin couldn't control it, and back comes Morrow, number 6.
Morrow in with Gillies and Goring. Morrow drops it to Gillies. Gillies in front, but grabbed by Edwards, and it's picked up by Mongrain. Trying to set up Martin off the mark, and it's cleared back in by Morrow. Here's Dunn for Buffalo. Being forechecked by Goring. Dunn almost lost it, then cleared it. Gillies knocks it down. Here's big Clark Gillies, centers to Goring, back to Morrow. Being watched by Richard Martin, over to Lane. Lane, slap shot that Mongrain got a piece of, and then clears into the Islander zone. 10 seconds left in the penalties to players on each team. Here's Merrick. Dumps the long one into the Buffalo zone. That's Schoenfeld, number 6, back to take control for the Sabres. Penalized players, Bossy and Ruff are back on. Here's Ruff, clearing one near the Islander line, and Tonelli passes to Pearson, back to Tonelli, number 27. He cleared one. Here's Merrick, checking McKegney, and fires one into the center ice area. Sabres, Van Boxmeer at his own line to Schoenfeld. 5 minutes left in the period. 3-2 Islanders lead. Schoenfeld's long shot. Smith handles that, and Pearson comes up with a loose puck. Feeds it out on left wing to Tonelli. Here's John Tonelli. Drop pass to Bossy. Shoots! Pad save on the short side by Edwards. And back comes Derek Smith to Gare. Danny Gare flips a long one in. Smith handles that. Pearson to Tonelli. Headmanning to Merrick. Fires it into the Sabres zone. And McKegney for Buffalo comes out of there. Lets Smith pick it up to McKegney. McKegney, one of the Sabre goal scorers, trying to center one to Gare. Bourne had Tim tied up. And then it's cleared by Langevin. Langevin picks it up again to Bourne. Into the Sabre zone. Bourne shoots one, and Mike Ramsey got a piece of it. And Edwards grabbed the rest of it and held on for a faceoff. Live from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Canadian Tire has the tires you need. Radial tires, snow tires, off-road tires, small tires, truck tires, tractor tires. We made our name selling quality tires at sensible prices, backed by our 5-year road hazard warranty. We can fit just about every kind of car or truck with the right tire at the right price.
We can do it. It's for people like you. Canadian Tire.
4 minutes and 7 seconds left in period 2. New York Islanders leading the Sabres 3-2. Face-off in the Buffalo zone. Islanders, Henning had control of it. Now it's out in front. Henning a backhander, and Edwards makes the save. Henning didn't really win the face-off, Jerry, but he stayed on top of the puck, and it almost resulted in a goal.
Well, the last 3 or 4 minutes, Edwards has been very, very sharp in the Buffalo net, but on the Buffalo bench, Rick Sealing took... Or he's back out in the ice. I didn't know if he was coming back. Rick Sealing took a very stiff check from Denny Potvin, and he's back out there, so he must be okay.
Here's Luce against Henning on the faceoff. Luce this time gets the draw. Playfair around on the boards to Ramsey. The 19-year-old Sabre defenseman shot at the center. Morrow flipped it right back in. Playfair to Ramsey. Now to Don Luce, who lets Andre Savard take over. Savard, number 12, fires it into the Islander zone. Back Morrow in the corner, gets it loose to Sutter. Now to Gary Howitt, number 8. Howitt trying to work around Playfair. Howitt drop pass to Lane, shoots one. That hit the post, I believe, as it came through a maze of traffic. And then it's cleared by the Islanders, or by the Sabres, down into the Islander zone. Morrow trying to flip it out on the boards. Howitt ties his man up. Now Don Luce to Savard. Back to Playfair, shoots one. Pad save by Billy Smith. Here's Don Luce to Savard. Smith cleared that away. Howitt in the corner. Flipping it on the boards for Sutter. And he cleared it to the Buffalo line. Height is back to get it for the Sabres. Less than 3 minutes to play in the second period. Lead pass to Martin. Martin into the Islander zone. Given a rough ride and knocked down by Potvin. And then it's Howitt shooting it out for New York. Bill Height trying to get away from Goring. Gives the pass to McClanahan. Number 15, Rob McClanahan. He can move. Into the Islander zone for McClanahan. Taken out of the play by Lorimer. McClanahan and Lorimer jam up, and the puck comes to Potvin now on left wing for Big Gillies.
to Goring. Martin rides him into the boards, and Perot back to get it. And we're going to have a penalty here against Richard Martin for hooking on Butch Goring. The Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
If your lawn's a jungle, your string trimmer better be a home light. Gas-powered to outwork, outreach, and outmaneuver any electric. To cut a wider swath and advance cutting string automatically at a trigger's touch. The Home Light gasoline string trimmer, and only 7¼ pounds. King of the jungle. So advanced, it can only be a Home Light.
Richard Martin in the penalty box for hooking here at 17:39. Here's the play.
Well, there's no doubt that he hooked him, Dan, but previous to that, the Islanders got away with a few of them, too. A little more consistency might help in that situation.
Meanwhile, it is Buffalo that is shorthanded. Islanders with a 3-2 lead and on the power play. Potvin trying to move it in. Gets it to Trottier. Into the corner, but Height has it for Buffalo. Around on the boards to Van Boxmeer. Bourne takes him out of the play. Here's Pearson to Bourne. Height trying to knock it away from him. Bourne fired it around on the boards. It comes back to the right point to Dennis Potvin. To Pearson. Stefan Pearson to Dennis Potvin. Potvin into the slot to Bossy. A deflection and grab by Edwards. Great puck control by the Islanders, but not really a good shot.
No, not really, but there we see an idea what the Islanders are trying to do, Dan. Mike Bossy just floating through the slot. We saw Denny Potvin just give him a very light pass into the middle, and unfortunately for the Islanders, the puck went off Mike Bossy's skater. He walks in with a real good shot, and they really look for Mike Bossy with his gifted scoring ability on that power play.
Here's Trottier on a face-off against Mongrain to the right of the Buffalo goal. 1:18 left in the penalty. A quick shot blocked. Now here's Trottier. Score! Backhander by Brian Trottier.
Well, a great shot by Trottier, but a little bit of sloppy work by Buffalo in their own end after the face-off. And Schoenfield's arguing with the referee. The draw actually comes back to Mike Bossy, who takes a shot and hits a Buffalo player. And Trottier picks up the puck just laying there. I don't know exactly what Schoenfeld's arguing about.
Well, the fans here at the Nassau Coliseum are not arguing. They are standing and cheering. And Brian Trottier has just scored his second goal of the game.
Here it is. Trottier gets it to Bossy. He shoots it. Now the puck comes back to him. Watch Trottier go wide. Well, I think maybe he's arguing that Clark Gillies held him and he couldn't get to Trottier, but a great shot by Trottier on the backhand, which you don't see that much anymore. And Donnie Edwards really had no chance on that.
Trottier's second goal of the game, his 8th of the playoffs. A power play goal, and the Islanders have the lead at 4-2. Trottier from Bossy, the scoring play at 18:26. Here the Islanders come again. Merrick is checked, and now Perot. For the Sabres, who have fallen behind by 2 again. To number 3, Dunn. Richie Dunn crosses center, long shot. Smith steered it to the side. Now Merrick back for the Islanders in his own zone. Flips one to center. Play fair for Buffalo. To Martin. Now sealing his buck. Less than a minute to play in the second period. Dunn for Buffalo to Playfair. Feeding it out to Perot. Perot shoots a long one in. Here's Martin digging in after it with Nystrom. Nystrom takes him out of the play. Dennis Potvin has it for the Islanders. Tried to clear it. Gare knocked it down. Now to Perot. Here's Perot out in front. Gare a whack at it, but cleared away by Tonelli. Tonelli, number 27. To Nystrom. Too far ahead for him, and Dunn back for Buffalo. Slaps it back out to center. 25 seconds left in the period. Number 23 is Bob Nystrom. Tied up by Dunn. Now centers Merrick. Shoots Edwards. Big save by Merrick. On Edwards as he stopped Merrick on a kick save. Now the Sabres come back. Potvin, Perot to the corner, and they hold it there with 6 seconds left in the period.
Well, the first power play goal of the series, that last one, Dan, and it has been the type of series where the penalty killers have been playing very well, but as I mentioned earlier, on that small Buffalo ice surface, it's very, very difficult to set up the power play and be consistent and get those great shots.
Boy, Merrick just missed a big chance. Edwards with a great save moments ago.
Yeah, Edwards has played extremely well. He hasn't had much chance. Close in by Merrick, and all Edwards has to do is stand up and hold his ground, which he did very well.
Trache has scored a pair. Bossy and Merrick one apiece for the Islanders. McKegney and Perreault for Buffalo. 6 seconds left in the period. Islanders leading 4-2 as Scotty Bowman tries to get some people strategically placed in the Islander end of the rink for this faceoff. Mongrain on the face-off against Trache. Trache gets the draw and puck back. Conley cleared it to center, and that's going to end the period as Van Buck here knocked it down. Gary, the Buffalo Sabres came on strong in the early part of the period, tied the game, but then the Islanders seemed to take control in the last 10 minutes.
Well, no question. They really did take control, and I can't believe the Buffalo Sabres are that tired, Dan, but they do look a little bit listless at this point in the game.
Shots on goal in that period, the Islanders had 13 to 9 for Buffalo. So on the game, Islanders have had 28 to 18 for the Buffalo Sabres. And on the scoreboard, it is a 4-2 hockey game with Brian Trache popping in a pair of goals to lead the New York Islander attack, and things do not look very rosy for Scotty Bowman and the Buffalo Sabres at this point.
No, they sure don't. I don't know what it is. Maybe the idea that the Islanders can be more physical than the Buffalo Sabres has the Buffalo hockey players worried. I don't know. There's only a few of them out there that look like they're giving it the old 110% college try. Danny Gare, Rick Martin, Billy Height's playing pretty well, and of course Donnie Edwards outside of that shot early in the game by Mike Bossy has been sensational, but I don't think you can say at this point that it's a team effort by the New York Islanders, and if it is a team effort, it's a team effort at being bad, not good.
That's what they want in New York and in Buffalo, the Stanley Cup. Let's go downstairs now to Dave Hodge.
Well, the New York Islanders, who have a 2-0 lead in games, have a 2-goal lead after 2 periods in this third game, and have had the lead pretty well all the way in this series after Bob Bourne's big goal that tied it up shorthanded in the first period of the first game in Buffalo. And the overtime hero of game number 2 is with me now, Bob Nystrom, who has scored 4 playoff goals, and the 3 of them have been very big. 1 to force an overtime, 2 to win a game, and of course the other one to win a game in overtime against the Buffalo Sabres, second overtime period. You've scored an overtime before, I know, but right now this has got to be the biggest goal you've ever scored.
Yeah, it is. You know, when you look back at the old overtime goals and you think, well, hey, they were pretty important at the time, but this is this year, and you know, the ones that I get this year are more important.
You don't get too many in the second overtime period, which always magnifies the importance, I think.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever been in a double overtime. Our team's been noted for winning in the overtime, and we usually end it pretty quick, but that was a pretty thrilling first overtime, but I was lucky enough to get a rebound up front, and I just stuffed it in.
Bob, a lot of people have said this is a different Islander team than they've seen in previous years, and a word I would like to use is intensity. I don't think I've ever seen the Islanders play with the sort of intensity that we're seeing tonight and that we've seen in previous games. Do you feel that?
I definitely do feel that. You know, we started coming on the last part of the season, and we were playing exceptionally well, and it seemed like all of a sudden we got our enthusiasm, we got our drive, and we really started to go. But I just can't remember a time when we go into a game fearing that we're going to lose, and we go out there with just the want and the will to win.
Some people say that an explanation for this would be a wish to atone for what happened in previous years, but mostly last year, that there was this thing all during the summer about the Islanders lost to the Rangers, and the bragging rights are over there in Manhattan, and you got to do something to get it back, and it didn't happen in the regular season when you had several things happen to keep you down in the standings. Now was the time that you could turn it around. Is that about the way the team has looked at it?
Yeah, well, I spend most of the summer down here, you know, so I'll tell you, I got quite a bit of ribbings, you know, down here from the Ranger fans, and I think a lot of the other guys, you know, heard a lot about that series. But it just seemed like last year, you know, we won the overall, and it seemed like things came a little bit easy for us. And this year, where it's been different, where we had to struggle every game to win a game, and early on in the season, we couldn't win a game. So now we're sort of on a crest, and it seems like, you know, everything we do is coming out all right. But I think that the frustration of last year and realizing that, you know, we weren't the top dog this year, and we're underdogs, and let's go out there and do our best and see what happens.
This has been a physical series, certainly from the Islanders' point of view, yet there has not been any of the unnecessary stuff that sometimes drags games on, and I wonder if you're happy about that.
I definitely am. You know, I think of myself as, hey, I'm not a finesse player, but I go out there and grind it out. But it's so nice to see, like, both teams are hitting really well, and there isn't the fighting. I think that, you know, it was unfortunate in the Boston series where there was so much fighting, and you know, fine, we proved that we're a tough team, but we would rather much rather go out there and just take the man and work hard in the corners and see if we can't come up with the puck.
Prove it this way, and so far you're doing it. Bob, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dave.
For game number 2's winning goal. The score at the end of the second period is the New York Islanders 4 and the Buffalo Sabres 2.
In General Electric.
Showdown, brought to you by Panasonic, just slightly ahead of our time. Robbie Fatorik illustrated his skating talents in becoming the Center's champion, Gary Dornhofer, and he did it again in the Champion of Champions series.
Well, Robbie demonstrated superior skating, agility, and puck handling ability in the puck control drill. And in the skating drill, he was the first off the line. Great acceleration, showed good speed in skating backwards, and in the last leg of the race, illustrated the endurance you need to win the event.
So after 3 events in our Champion of Champions series, Robbie Fatorik with a 3rd in shooting, 1st in puck control, 1st in skating, leads with 25 points. Larson has 20, Bossy 16, Gretzky 10.
Well, the important scoring system. 1st is worth 15 points, 2nd 10, 3rd 7, and 4th is 5.
We'll be back with more shooting on the breakaway event in just a moment.
Excuse me, sir. Can you find my seat, please?
Oh, your seat is right over there on the bench.
Thank you very much.
High-fidelity ideas from Techniques. Ingenious, affordable. The Quartz Direct Drive turntable from Techniques. Another step closer to perfect sound reproduction. The quietest, most accurate performance ever from Techniques. Techniques High Fidelity. A complete system of innovative ideas.
Don Edwards takes his place in goal. He's ready now to face the shots of Robbie Fatorik. The other fellows, Gary, in the dressing room, wondering how Fatorik's going to do here.
Well, he can seal his own fate by getting a few goals. What a shot! What a shake!
Nice effort.
Right in the top corner. Well, he tried to use the backhand there, but Edwards was equal to the task.
Still wondering why he went to the backhand on that second shot.
Well, you notice that 3rd one right through the legs. There's a good sprawling save and a rebound, and Edwards is there.
You can go after the rebound. Oh, pretty goal to finish it up with 3.
Wasn't that something? Right in the top corner.
Now the question is, will 3 goals be good enough?
Well, Robbie Fatorik shows that he really knows what to do with that puck. He freezes Edwards and throws it high in the corner for his first goal.
So we look now at young Wayne Gretzky, 19 years old, a future superstar if he isn't one already.
Well, he's very good with that puck, too, Brian. Has a very good shift. But not that time.
Shot number 2. Oh, he made it look easy.
Well, he cut across in front and put it right through the legs. That's picking the corner.
Edwards gave him a little room there, Gary. But he fooled him with that stick check. Last shot.
Well, Edwards tried to come out, but Gretzky was able to get around him and score the goal, so he ends up with 3 goals.
Fatorik with 3, Gretzky with 3. I think he enjoys this competition.
Well, there you mentioned, Brian, the room that Edwards gave Gretzky, and he took advantage of it.
Mike Bossy, as Edwards looks down wondering how they got 6 goals against him.
Well, Brian, Bossy doesn't know, but we know he needs 4 to win. Oh, there's trouble.
Yeah, he needs 4 in a row now. That's almost impossible.
That was a good shot, right up top, over top of Edwards' glove.
No, he couldn't get it. He's all finished.
Now just play out the string now. And there's Edwards out clearing that rebound, getting the puck out of the way. Great shot. That's a tough one to stop.
So Mike Bossy gets 2.
I knew as soon as I missed the first one, I was gone.
That first one is so important. Now, what's the situation, Gary, with Reed Larson? What does he need here?
I knew I had to get 4 when I came in.
All he needs is 4 to win. Tough position to be in.
A lot of interest at the bench as Reed Larson takes his first shot here.
Well, he elected to go with a snapshot there and shot it right at Edwards.
Oh, he's still alive.
Look at Reed. He's taking his time. He's going a little bit too slow. He may run out of time. Well, it really doesn't matter now, Brian. That does it.
No, he's out of it now.
And Robbie Fatorik, he ends up the winner. He set the stage right off the start with 3, and nobody could match him.
There, slap shot into the net by Reed Larson to finish it up, but Robbie Fatorik of Needham, Mass. is the winner.
Well, Robbie Fatorik certainly demonstrated all the skills it took to win, the skating and also the scoring, and he's $5,000 richer.
And we'll be right back. Robbie Fatorik finished 3rd in shooting, 1st in puck control, 1st in skating, and tied for 1st in the breakaway. Had 37 points. Let's go now to Lou Shoskus, president of Panasonic, for the presentation of the awards.
On behalf of Panasonic, I would like to congratulate you on being the recipients of the Showdown Award from Panasonic.
Well, it's all over. We have a champion, Robbie Fatorik. Well-deserved, too, don't you think, Gary?
Oh, absolutely, Brian. He certainly demonstrated his skills skating on both of those drills and also showed that he can score goals when he had to.
Our 2 Showdown champions have been crowned. Goaltender Don Edwards and forward Robbie Fatorik. Showdown has been brought to you all season long by Panasonic, just slightly ahead of our time.
At the Nassau County Coliseum, the New York Islanders 4 and the Buffalo Sabres 2 at the end of 2 periods. Ryan Trottier scored twice in the second period to break a 2-all tie after Gilbert Perreault had pulled the Sabres even. We might tell you that the comments from Jim Schoenfeld in the direction of referee Bob Myers on the ice in that second period also continued following the second period. As the Sabres went to their dressing room, Schoenfeld specifically sought out Myers and had some things to say, and Myers said some things back. So apparently Schoenfeld's complaint was that some interference had not been called, and the feelings are not good between those two right now. And the feelings can't be good in the Buffalo Sabres dressing room, down 2 games and down 2 goals. And we'll return with the Stanley Cup playoffs in just a moment.
Hey, did you ever think of using a stick? Like this? Like this. A new antiperspirant, Menin Speed Stick Plus.
Speed Stick Plus? I'd use a stick with antiperspirant.
That smooth? All-day protection against odor and wetness.
That Menin Speed Stick shape sure makes it easy. I'll use it.
New Menin Speed Stick Plus antiperspirant. From the makers of Speed Stick, Canada's #1 stick deodorant.
Quaker State helps cars last.
It's true. If you look after your equipment, it's going to last. That's why we use Quaker State motor oil on our farm. In our equipment, trucks, in my snowmobile, in our 4-wheel drive, winter and summer. We take care of our equipment with a lot of help from Quaker State. It's the best-selling motor oil in North America. Quaker State says their motor oil helps cars last. And I think they're right.
In the late 1950s, banks weren't in the business of promoting small personal loans. Then one bank made it their business. The bank was Scotiabank, and they're still giving credit where credit is due. If you could use a little help with your dream, whatever your dream, see Scotiabank. They've got everything you need.
It's warm, it's funny, it's breaking away. A small-town kid goes cycling crazy.
He was as normal as pumpkin pie. And now, look at him.
Now his body's fine, but his mind is gone.
The world television premiere of the Oscar Award winner, Breaking Away, on CBC, Monday night at 8.
Islanders 4 and Sabres 2 as we get ready for the third period of play. And Howie Meeker, the Islanders really have the knack of doing the right thing at the right time in this series. There was the Bourne goal shorthanded in the first game. A lot of examples, I guess, out of the second game, although Buffalo certainly played its best hockey in that game. But here, Brian Trottier scores a goal that you wouldn't think would go in. He made a good play, mind you. I think he was thinking in the right direction. But all of a sudden, everything swings back to the Islanders after Buffalo had come back to play pretty well.
Well, you're right. Buffalo climbed out of a pretty good hole. I got a lucky goal to tie it 2-2, and then Islanders came right back, and Edwards, who has been sensational all year long, they've had super goaltending all year long. That breaks down, and their defense and discipline breaks down. Can't understand it. Here, we want to show you the... Oh, this is one we're looking for. I wonder if it would be possible to start that one over again, because it was the key. Can't do it. Well, if we could play it again later on, that's very important, because really it's checking that wins or loses hockey games, and in this instance, Trottier went in front of the net, but at center ice, he had the puck. Buffalo player come up to him, Trottier passed it off, the Buffalo player drew back, and Trottier goes in, and it's a perfect example of what's happened all night long.
This is it, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, this is it again. Now, the check has already been missed, but certainly watch Trottier go for the net. Super puck control by the Islanders. Look at that check there. Not being made. Now watch Trottier in front of the net, and the puck goes to him, and Edwards makes a pretty good save here on a deflection. But certainly it's the checking that the Buffalo team is not doing that's constantly getting them in trouble.
Okay, let's now go to the third period. Got to cut you a little short, Howie. We're sorry about that. And let's join Dan Kelly and Jerry Pinder.
Okay, Dave Hodge, both teams on the ice. It is a 4-2 New York Islander lead over the Buffalo Sabres. Jerry, the Islanders in previous games on home ice in Stanley Cup play have never lost to the Buffalo Sabres. 5 previous meetings, and they've never lost, and they lead this one. Here's a look at the second period summary. Perreault at 8:12 to tie the game for Buffalo, but then 2 in a row by Trottier at 8:57, and then the power play at 18:26. Shots on goal in the period favoring the Islanders 13-9.
Well, I don't think the Buffalo Sabres are going to win a game here against the New York Islanders if they don't play with a little more intelligence and maybe start taking the body a little bit. As I mentioned, it looks like only 3 or 4 of them really care whether they win or lose, and I can't believe that a Scotty Bowman coach team is not going to play with a little more maturity and a little bit more intensity than these guys are playing with tonight.
Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage will continue next Tuesday night. And at this time, we don't know which game we'll be covering, but we'll tell you more about that as the period goes along. Puck shot in by Buffalo. Smith is there to clear it. Now held in by Ramsey for the Sabres. Here's McKegney for Buffalo. Taken out of the play by Goring, and he's able to clear it to center ice. Playfair for the Sabres. Flips the high one into the Islander zone, and that's number 6, Ken Morrow. One of those U.S. Olympic players to Goring, back to Lane. Toward Lane to Gillies. Playfair breaks it up, and Danny Gare tries to flip it in. McKegney caught it into skate, and now here's Bossy for the Islanders. Long shot. Edwards sets it up for big Playfair, number 27. Larry Playfair to McKegney on right wing for Derek Smith. Smith taken out of the play by Potvin, back of the net. Smith still after the puck, but Dennis Potvin comes up with it, trying to clear it. Gets it to Bourne, held in by Van Buxmeer. Smith leaves it for Lorimer, number 4. Bob Lorimer. Backhanding one into the Buffalo zone. John Fell for the Sabres, back to get it over on the left wing boards. McClanahan missed it, and the Islanders' Lorimer gives it to Trottier. Perreault tying him up. Now Nystrom, number 23, back into the zone to Lorimer. Shot at the center. John fell to Van Buxmeer. Long shot. Smith, stick save. McClanahan pulled down, and there's going to be a penalty to Lorimer as he pulled down Rob McClanahan and was going after a rebound. From the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island, Stanley Cup 80.
Copier companies have been introducing small copiers with a very interesting claim.
It's just as good as a Xerox.
It's just as good as a Xerox. Then one day...
This compact copier is very versatile. It even copies on your own letterhead. It's inexpensive, but best of all...
I know, it's just as good as a Xerox.
It is a Xerox.
The Xerox 2600, the compact copier that really is just as good as a Xerox.
Bob Lorimer in the penalty box. Hooking is the call. It's 1:33 here of the third period.
Well, watch him haul down the Buffalo player here, and he argued about it afterwards, but I don't think we didn't question that call. But what it does now, Dan, is it gives the Buffalo Sabres a chance to get back in the game with an awful lot of time left in the third period, so they badly need a goal.
Sabres have still not scored a power play goal in this series with the Islanders. Here's the loose puck taken by Henning, cleared to the line. Van Buxmeer held it in, over to Perreault. Gilbert Perreault, number 11 for Buffalo. They have the man advantage. Back to McKegney. Tony McKegney, low shot. Off a skate and wide of the net. Van Buxmeer in the corner for the Sabres. Shoots one right through the goal crease and wide. Here's Perreault. To Van Buxmeer. His shot blocked by Bourne, and it goes down into the Buffalo zone. Back is Van Buxmeer. A minute 32 left in the penalty. Here's Gare to McKegney. Tony McKegney taken out of the play by Morrow, who played him nicely, and it comes back to center. And Perreault to Van Buxmeer. Buffalo firing it in as Van Buxmeer drills it in. McKegney into Forchek. He couldn't get it, but the Sabres, Perreault at the point does. Into McKegney. And the Islanders, Lorimer gives it to Trottier. Perreault tying him up. Now Nystrom, number 23, back into the zone to Lorimer. John at the center. John fell to Van Buxmeer. Long shot. Smith, stick save. McClanahan pulled down, and there's going to be a penalty to Lorimer as he pulled down Rob McClanahan and was going after a rebound. From the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island, Stanley Cup 80.
Copier companies have been introducing small copiers with a very interesting claim.
It's just as good as a Xerox.
It's just as good as a Xerox. Then one day...
This compact copier is very versatile. It even copies on your own letterhead. It's inexpensive, but best of all...
I know, it's just as good as a Xerox.
It is a Xerox.
The Xerox 2600, the compact copier that really is just as good as a Xerox.
Bob Lorimer in the penalty box. Hooking is the call. It's 1:33 here of the third period.
Well, watch him haul down the Buffalo player here, and he argued about it afterwards, but I don't think we didn't question that call. But what it does now, Dan, is it gives the Buffalo Sabres a chance to get back in the game with an awful lot of time left in the third period, so they badly need a goal.
Sabres have still not scored a power play goal in this series with the Islanders. Here's the loose puck taken by Henning, cleared to the line. Van Buxmeer held it in, over to Perreault. Gilbert Perreault, number 11 for Buffalo. They have the man advantage. Back to McKegney. Tony McKegney, low shot. Off a skate and wide of the net. Van Buxmeer in the corner for the Sabres. Shoots one right through the goal crease and wide. Here's Perreault. To Van Buxmeer. His shot blocked by Bourne, and it goes down into the Buffalo zone. Back is Van Buxmeer. A minute 32 left in the penalty. Here's Gare to McKegney. Tony McKegney taken out of the play by Morrow, who played him nicely, and it comes back to center. And Perreault to Van Buxmeer. Buffalo firing it in as Van Buxmeer drills it in. McKegney into Forchek. He couldn't get it, but the Sabres, Perreault at the point does. Into McKegney. Back to Perreault. Over to Van Buxmeer. To Perreault. Back to Van Buxmeer. Shoots one, deflected, and it went wide by a couple of feet. Perreault behind the net to McKegney. To Van Buxmeer at the right point. To Perreault. Fired it around in the boards, and it's intercepted by Dennis Potvin. And Potvin clears it the length of the ice. Here's Henning after a loose puck. Score! Lord Henning picks up a loose puck and scores the short-handed goal for the Islanders.
Well, Denny Potvin flipped the puck out of his own end of the rink, and Henning, breaking down the left side, picks it up. Does he ever make a great move on Donnie Edwards down the Buffalo end? Watch Henning break for that puck. Caught the Buffalo defenseman Van Boxmeer off guard. Now watch him pull the puck across the front of the crease on Donnie Edwards and shove it underneath him. There it is, and Edwards actually makes a pretty good play. He fired his stick out to try and knock the puck away from Lorne Henning, but he was unable to do it, and a very, very good play. A very sharp and aware play by Lorne Henning.
A short-handed goal by Henning on a setup by Potvin. It's 5-2 Islanders. Puck loose in the Buffalo zone. Done for the Sabres. 23 seconds still left in the Islander penalty. But that's rather elementary now as Mongrain pokes it into the corner. Stealing back to the net. Checked by Trottier. Here's Dennis Potvin up the middle for Goring. What's Goring? All by himself just played it off the boards into the Sabres zone. Done for Buffalo. Over on right wing for Mongrain. Robert Mongrain lets a shot go wide of the net. Penalized player back on. Islanders have killed it off and scored a short-handed goal in the bargain. Lorimer around on the boards to Bourne. He got it to center. Dunn has it for the Sabres. Richie Dunn shooting it back in. And Langevin has it for the Islanders. On right wing to Sutter, now to Bourne. He flipped one in. Schoenfeld and Merrick go to the corner after it. Back of the net. Came out in front. Dunn cleared it away. Now here's Sutter. Dropping one back that goes all the way into the Islander zone. Smith sets it up for Langevin, number 26. Off the boards to Pearsall. Over on left wing to Tonelli. He didn't get it, but Merrick, number 11, does. Drops it back for Langevin. Islanders with a 5-2 lead. Here's Savard trying to steal it, but Langevin comes out of the Islander zone. Leads a three-man rush for New York. To Sutter, and his shot turned aside by Edwards. Tonelli centers. Off a skate and picked up by Martin for Buffalo. Rick Martin. To Perreault. Pass was behind Ramsey. Ramsey now trying to center one. Gets it to Perreault. To Martin. Shoots. Stick save by the goaltender Smith. Puck still loose back of the net. Cleared on the boards, and Tonelli has it for New York. Lead pass to Sutter, and that's called back on a two-line offside. Faceoff will be back in the Islander zone. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
Never underestimate the Wolf. For when you think you know his speed, he'll show you more. When you think you know his power, he'll find power to spare. When you think you know him well, he'll surprise you. The Wolf, fast, powerful, confident, deceptive. Never underestimate an Evinrude. Any Evinrude.
Al Arbor pacing behind the Islander bench. His team with a 5-2 lead with 14:57 left in regulation time. A short-handed goal. That last goal for New York by Hennig. Here's Lane in the Islander zone. Cleared it on the boards. Lane gets it again and flips one into the center ice area. Height going back to pick it up. And as Height touches it, icing is called against the Islanders with a face-off back in the New York zone.
Well, Buffalo coming on a little bit stronger now, but down 5-2, I don't give them much of a chance of winning the hockey game. And as we look at Big Clark Gillies, a big left winger, and
no wonder they nickname him Jethro, huh?
Well, this is another angle of Lorne Henning, and watch there. You see Edwards try and get him with the stick, and Henning wisely pulls it way wide and slips it just underneath his glove. But a good play by Lorne Henning, but not all that bad by Edwards either, because he made the right play. His timing was just a little off, or he'd have had that puck.
Henning, a short-handed goal from Potvin at 2:59 of the third period to make it 5-2. Face-off in the Islander zone. Comes to Dunn at the point. His shot is blocked. Now Gillies trying to get it out of the zone. Finally does.
Here is Goring after a loose puck. Dunn cleared it away, and Height for the Sabres gives it to Derek Smith to McKegney. He's checked in the play, and Bossy shot it to center. Height moving in. Flips one back to the net. There to take over and clear it on the boards was Lane. Held in now Gillies into the center ice area for Bossy. One-man box. Bossy against Dunn, and Dunn blocked the shot. It bounces out in front, and Smith cleared it back to the goaltender, Edwards, and I believe we're going to have a penalty to the Sabres on the play. We are, and Buffalo will be shorthanded. This is Stanley Cup 80 from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
Open wide.
Huh?
Just checking for night fever. Hey, you're smooth.
You're right.
Yeah. I've always said when it's golden, you go for it.
I've always said when you've got it, hang on to it.
You sure you wouldn't rather be up there dancing?
All that glitter isn't golden.
Aha, medium rare.
You shouldn't let something this good pass you by. When it's golden, you go for it.
Boarding is the penalty against Richie Dunn at 5:57 here in the third period.
Well, he takes Bossy in after he shoots the puck here a little bit heavily, but we've seen an awful lot of that going on. Watch him, he runs his head in a little bit. Well, I guess that's not a bad call. But we've seen a lot of heavy hitting out there tonight, Dan.
Islanders have a 5-2 lead and are on the power play. Pearson with Lorimer, the point men. Bossy, Gillies, and Crotche up front, and here's number 19, Crotche. On left wing, working to center ice. In across the line to Bossy. Bossy to Pearson. In front to Gillies. Quick shot, and Height got a piece of it, and it went high and wide. Crotche to Bossy behind the net. Height takes it away from him and then clears it the length of the ice. A minute 27 left in Dunn's penalty. 5-2, the Islanders lead. They could take a 3-0 lead in the series. If this continues here this evening. Here's Bourne. Checked by Luce. Now Lorimer picks it up, but Rick Sealing starts back for Buffalo. Sealing, who was injured earlier, bumped on the play by Lorimer, and Goring takes control. On right wing to Bossy, broken up, and Schoenfeld for the Sabres, dropping it back for Height. Long shot deflected. It bounced as well on Billy Smith, but he made a body save, and Goring has it in the corner. Third right in front of his own net. Lorimer quickly feeds to Bourne, now to Bossy. To Bourne, trying to get away from Van Buxmere, who ties him up. Playfair back to the Buffalo goal. Cleared it on the boards. Less than 40 seconds left in the Buffalo penalty. Here's a shot by Lorimer that's blocked by Ramsey. Now Goring in front. Bossy fanned on it. And the Sabres got it and clear it the length of the ice. 24 seconds left in the Dunn penalty of Buffalo. Here's Billy Smith. Thinks he's Jerry Cheevers for a moment. He gives it to Pearson. Ahead to Bourne. On left wing to Merrick. Merrick in front. Nice to shoot. The rebound. They score! Bourne! And it's 6-2 Islanders.
I don't know how many saves the Sabres expect Edwards to make, but a perfect play to Nystrom in front, and he took a good shot at it. Edwards went down to make the save and almost made the final save on board. So watch the play. Billy Smith starts it all up to Pearson, up to Bourne, who gives it to Merrick. Now watch Merrick delay. He just hangs on to it here and hits Nystrom coming through the slot. There's the shot. Down he goes. And Bourne's got almost the whole open net, but the Buffalo Sabres are not giving Donnie Edwards any help at all.
Bob Bourne at 7:47 to make it 6-2 for the Islanders. And the Buffalo cause looks bleaker. Here's Lane for the Islanders. Long shot. Edwards, who has not had much help, cleared it to Ramsey. Now to Perreault. Savard picking it up. Delayed penalty coming up against the Islanders. Delayed penalty coming up against the Islanders. Here's Savard to center. Long shot that's high off the glass. And as Morrow plays the puck, then the play is called as Savard bumped him into the boards. And they jab away at each other, and now the penalty will be assessed against the Islanders and I believe against Lane. With the score, the New York Islanders 6, the Buffalo Sabres 2. This is Stanley Cup 80.
I want classic styling and fuel economy.
And I want comfort and space for my family and our luggage.
We both want extraordinary value.
You can have it all in Mercury Monarch. Classic styling, fine handling, 5-passenger roominess and comfort, proven ride, and improved fuel economy, style, room, and fuel savings, too.
All together, one extraordinary value.
Mercury Monarch.
Extraordinary value.
At the sign of the cat.
Gord Lane of the Auditors in the penalty box for roughing. Time of the penalty, 8:13. Loose puck in the Auditor zone, and Bourne comes out of there for New York. Checked by Schoenfeld to Dunn. Buffalo with a power play, but trailing 6-2. Here's Perreault. Gilbert Perreault passing to Schoenfeld. Now Dunn fires one around on the boards. Here's Perreault. Taken in against the boards by Henning. Schoenfeld gets the puck, shoots one, hit the side of the net. Schoenfeld again. To Perreault, back to Schoenfeld. He's checked by Henning before he could shoot. Dennis Potvin clearing one, but held in by Dunn. Dunn to Gare. Shoots, stick save by Smith on the short side. Now Ruff for Buffalo. Drops one back, no one in possession, and it goes all the way back into the Buffalo zone. 1:04 left in the Islander penalty. Here's Ruff. Over on left wing for Mongrain. Shoots high off the glass. Perreault trying to hold it in. He was checked, and Trottier comes to center. One-on-one against Mike Ramsey. Ramsey took him out of the play. Trottier shot anyway. Edwards made the save and wound up crawling on it. And Trottier almost scored again.
Almost a shot at the hat trick for Brian Trottier. He had a couple of whacks at it here. Watch him knock, I believe it's Ramsey. Watch him knock him over. And he walks in all alone here. And Edwards again makes a pretty darn good save.
I thought Ramsey had him taken out of the play, so apparently did Ramsey.
Yeah, he did, and he ended up on his back.
Trottier almost scoring again. 6-2 Islanders. Our Stanley Cup coverage will continue on Tuesday night. And we believe now it will be live from Bloomington, Minnesota, because if the Auditors go on and win this game and take a 3-0 lead, that's the game we would pick up next Tuesday night from Bloomington, Minnesota. Now here's Buffalo on the power play, working it in. McKegney checked in the play. Here's Goring to Trottier. Trottier scoops a long one into the Buffalo zone. Playfair for the Sabres, back to pick it up. Big Playfair for Buffalo. Still on the power play, feeding it through to McKegney. Tony McKegney into Smith. Shoot, he scores! Derek Smith on a fine pass by McKegney.
Yeah, pretty darn good shot by Smith, too. Top right-hand corner. Billy Smith had no chance, but a little bit of sloppy play on the part of the Islanders here. Watch him let him come in over the blue line here. Potvin just keeps backing in. There goes the pass on the right side to Derek Smith. Watch him put it upstairs on the right-hand stick side of Billy Smith. There's only 9:49 left in the game, Dan. And it's nice to get that third goal, but I don't really think the Sabres have enough to come back and win this hockey game.
They have been dominated in most facets of this game by the Auditors, who lead 6-3 with 9:49 left in the third period. Here's Persson to Langevin. Now to Tonelli, who's knocked off the puck by Dunn. They jam up on the boards. Van Boxmeer clearing it in. And Merrick has it for the Auditors. Wayne Merrick to Persson. Clearing it off the boards. Persson has to go back the other way. Over to Tonelli. Number 27, a hustler by the name of John Tonelli, out to Nystrom. He flips one to the Buffalo line, and Van Boxmeer has it there. He played one to center. Now it is Mongrain tied up in the play, and the Auditors dump it right back into the Buffalo zone, and Dunn has to go back for it. Last scoring play was Derek Smith from McKegney and Playfair at 10-11 for Buffalo to cut the margin to 6-3. Here's Mongrain working his way into the Islander zone. Mongrain centers one, a shot, they score! Lindy Ruff at the edge of the crease. And Buffalo cuts the lead to 6-4.
Well, an innocent-looking play. But Mongrain just directed the puck at the net. Big Lindy Ruff, that big, tough left winger, standing in front of Billy Smith and got the rebound and put it in. Watch Mongrain get up and take it, just direct the shot at the net. You see Lindy Ruff moving to the front of the net. Billy Smith stops the one initially, and it's just laying there as Ruff bangs it in. And I may have put the hex on the New York Islanders by saying they had this game won, because the Buffalo Sabres got almost 9 minutes, and they just need they just need a goal, and they can pull their goalie.
Rookie Lindy Ruff, his first goal in the Stanley Cup playoffs at 11:09, just 58 seconds after Smith had scored. And that cuts the Islander lead to 6-4. Here are the Islanders on the attack, trying to center one. Cleared away by Mike Ramsey. Ramsey to Perreault at center. Perreault in with Sealing. Rick Sealing cutting in. Sealing trying to center one, and it's tipped away by Lorimer at the last second. Islanders can't clear it. Martin held it in, but Howitt then got it to center ice. Here's Potvin. Flipping one off the boards. Rick Sealing knocking it down. Sealing into the Islander zone. Sealing's shot is blocked as Lorimer took him out of the play, and Trottier feeds it around to Nystrom. Nystrom trying to flip one up to Howitt. Howitt one-on-one against Playfair. Now gets help from Trottier. Back to Trottier, who banged on it. Playfair couldn't clear it. Here's Trottier again. In front to Howitt. Spun around by Sealing and knocked down. Ramsey and Nystrom battle for it. Now Howitt back of the net for the Islanders. Centered one, cleared away by Ramsey. Rick Sealing at center for Martin. Martin passes one over, no one there as the Sabres were changing on the fly, and back comes Dennis Potvin. Potvin flipping one in. Dunn back of the net for Buffalo. Dunn lost it to Goring, gets it back again. Richie Dunn. Over on left wing to Derek Smith. Now Bossy for the Islanders to Butch Goring. Here's Goring working into Gillies. Gillies shoots. Edwards to save. Gillies to Goring back of the net. Goring tied up by McKegney. Now Schoenfeld shooting it out on left wing. And here comes Derek Smith. Smith flipping one in to McKegney. Back of the goal, Morrow takes over for the Islanders. Ken Morrow off the boards to Bossy. He lets it go to Merrick. Number 11, Wayne Merrick, scoops a long one in. Edwards handles that, and Height takes over for the Sabres. 6:40 left in the third period. 6-4 Islanders. Islanders center one to Merrick. Now his pass to Tonelli, and Edwards tipped it away with his goal stick. Tonelli spins away from a check. And Height has it for Buffalo. To Lindy Ruff at center. Ruff, who scored that last goal to Mongrain, but the play is offside at the Islander blue line. Stanley Cup 80 will continue in just a moment.
All over Canada, people are discovering the delights of cooking. Now, Canadian General Electric has 2 food processors, one with blender, one without. Both slice, both chop meat, both shred. But this CGE processor is also a 5-speed blender. Both prepare great-tasting meals with less time and work. Discover the delights of cooking. Discover 2 great processors, both with 5-year motor warranty from Canadian General Electric.
Six minutes and 19 seconds left in regulation time. 6-4, Islanders lead. If it ends this way, the Islanders would take a 3-0 lead in the series. Puck shot by the Islanders back into the Buffalo zone. Ramsey, number 23, back to get it, being forechecked by Tonelli. He comes up with it. Tonelli getting it to Sutter. Back to Tonelli, to Merritt. Quick wrist shot, and Edwards the glove save, and he held onto it, and the faceoff is going to be in the Buffalo zone.
Well, the New York Islanders coming back extremely strong, Dan, after that goal, that 4th goal by the Buffalo Sabres, and there's just slightly less than 6 minutes now, and Buffalo's going to have to really turn on the jets. Gil Perreault, Rick Martin, Danny Gare, and so on are going to have to play an awful lot. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Scotty Bowman, as we look at him there, go with a couple of lines, maybe only 5 or 6 forwards for the rest of the game, because it's do or die. If they lose this game, you know they're not going to win the series.
Meanwhile, Al Arbor and his Islanders at a 6-2 lead. They may have said, hey, we have this one in the bag, and bing, bing, 2 quick goals in 58 seconds by Buffalo. You can't relax for a moment, can you? Here's Buffalo's Ben Boxmeer on right wing. Trying to move in. Let the shot go wide of the net. And it is offside at the Islander line. Live from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Providing their share of the family income makes a lot of sense to a lot of women these days. And so does buying life insurance. Think about your future and talk it over with a Mutual Life of Canada agent.
Life is a mutual affair.
That's Al Arbor, the Islander coach. This is Dan Kelly with Jerry Pinder, Jim Robson, Dave Hodge, and Howie Meeker with Stanley Cup playoff action for you from the Nassau Coliseum. And the Islanders have a 6-4 lead. We have 5:37 left in regulation time.
The Buffalo Sabres scoring 4 goals tonight, their biggest output of the series, and Billy Smith has not been the scintillating goaltender that he was in Buffalo in the first 2 games, but on the other hand, he hasn't been tested near as often as he was in Buffalo.
Savard on this face-off against Trottier. It is Savard, McClanahan, and Sealing up front for Buffalo. Bossy for the Islanders trying to clear it. Held in. Sealing centers one. It goes to the corner. Now the Islanders, Pearson trying to clear it. Gets it to Bossy, who played it off the boards down into the Buffalo zone. That's Van Boxmeer back for the Sabres, and as he touches it, icing called against the Islanders.
Well, Jim Schoenfeld, who's played a very strong game back at the blue line and been taking the body all night for the Buffalo Sabres, came out in the 3rd period with his skate. His left skate all taped up, and it may be that the boot's broken or something like that. We can't tell from up here, but you can see the tape wrapped around the bottom of his left skate. There you get a shot of it. There's an awful lot of tape wrapped around it.
Here are the Sabres. Sealing in the corner, knocked off the puck by Trottier, and Gord Lane takes over for New York. Lane to Bossy. Lead pass to Trottier goes into the Buffalo zone. Edwards out of the net, cleared it to Schoenfeld. It's stolen, centered. Here's Trottier to Bourne. Edwards slides out and makes a pad save. And Schoenfeld takes over for Buffalo. He drops it to Van Boxmeer. Less than 5 minutes to play in regulation time. 6-4 Islanders. There's Morrow breaking up a play at center ice. Bossy flat on the ice, makes a play to Bourne. Bourne squeezed out of the play by Dunn, and here's McClanahan for Buffalo. De Geer. Geer goes wide, shoots. Smith makes the save. Clears the rebound. Sabres McClanahan. Tied up by Goring. Lane for the Islanders. Round to Nystrom. Shot to center, and back goes McClanahan. Just over 4 minutes left in regulation time. Here's Dunn to Geer, and that's an offside pass. Over 2 lines. Dunn says, no, I was outside the blue line, but the linesman whistles the play down.
Well, what Dunn did was bring the puck over the blue line, and then before he passed it, pulled it back on the other side of the blue line. It was a 2-line effort to Danny Geer, but time winding down again, Dan. 4:08 left in the game, and I'd be going with my best men. I'd have Perreault, Martin, Danny Geer, possibly McKegney, maybe 1 or 2 other guys, and just let them go because they've got no other hope if they lose this hockey game.
Here's a loose puck to the Islander line, taken by Lorimer, cleared to center to Gillies, and that's a 2-line offside from inside the Islander blue line, and we're down to 4:01 left in regulation time.
Just previous to that last face-off, we again saw Edwards being tested by Bob Bourne, and he did make a terrific save. He turned around after the play moved out of the Buffalo end of the ice, and he looked very, very disgusted, and I got to believe he's not happy with the play of his Buffalo Sabres in front of him tonight.
Scotty Bowman originally hired Al Arbor as a coach in the National Hockey League when Bowman was the general manager of the St. Louis Blues. Bowman went on to Montreal and then to Buffalo. Arbor to the Islanders.
I think Scotty's done a very good job of training Al Arbor.
On the face-off, here's McKegney to Perreault. Out as an extra forward.
His shot was high off the glass, flipped it in behind the net. And Dennis Potvin takes over, clearing one out on right wing. Here's Goring on a 2-on-1 break. Goring shoots high off the glass. He had Gillies with him, but Goring elected to shoot and shot it high. This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
Ryder rents trucks, all kinds of trucks. And Ryder does everything possible to make sure the wipers work, the headlights work, the brakes and steering and transmissions have been checked out. So practically nothing can stop a Ryder truck. Because when you rent trucks, you don't want them to give you problems. You want them to solve your problems. Ryder, the best truck money can rent.
Three minutes, 43 seconds left in the third period. New York Islanders 6, the Buffalo Sabres 4. Sabres have Perreault out on defense now with Richie Dunn as they attempt to play some catch-up hockey. Here's Dunn. Flips one to center, but Gillies is there for the Islanders to clear it back in. And Perreault is back to pick it up. Perreault playing one off the boards for Gare. Knocked down by Gillies. Now McKegney circles back over to Perreault. Lead pass to Gare. Langevin trying to check him. Gare centers one. McKegney had a poke at it, but it's blocked. And Goring for the Islanders. Feeds to center ice to Sutter. Sutter, number 12, tied up by Dunn. Gare giving the pass to Dunn. Dunn to Derek Smith off his stick. Sutter cleared it away for New York. Less than 3 minutes to play in regulation time. Gillies dumps it in. And Perreault takes over for Buffalo. Islanders lead 6-4. Perreault still has the puck. Over to McKegney, number 8. Tony McKegney centered one and off Mongrain's skate. And the Islanders come back with Merrick, flipping a pass ahead to Nystrom. Nystrom to the corner. Trying to get away from Van Boxmeer. Drops it to Lorimer. A drive right on and a stick save by Edwards. Here's Sealing. Into the Islanders zone. Sealing trying to stick handle through was checked, and Dennis Potvin for the Islanders comes to center and cleared it in. Kennelly in after it. Couldn't knock it down. It came back to center. Here's Lorimer to Dennis Potvin. Flips one in. 2 minutes left in regulation time. 6-4 Islanders as Schoenfeld leads the Buffalo rush. Schoenfeld's shot. Smith turns that aside. Schoenfeld digs in after it. Checked by Merrick, and Merrick then cleared it to center. Van Boxmeer has it there. Over on right wing for Lindy Ruff. Ruff working in. Centered it right through the goal crease, and Bossy for the Islanders flips one high into the Buffalo zone. Rolls on in all the way down the ice, never crossed the red line, so there's no icing. Mongrain to Martin. For Mongrain, number 25. Got to the Islander line. Bossy cleared it away. And then it's shot in by Morrow for New York. Dunn for Buffalo. Sabres are trailing 6-4 as Andre Savard comes out of his own zone. To Gare. He's skated off by Lane. Islanders can't clear it. Now it is Bourne getting the puck, clearing it off the boards. The goaltender Edwards was attempting to get off. Less than a minute to play in the third period. Here's Bourne for New York. Bourne flipping one in. Bossy back of the net, centered it. Edwards tipped it away, and McClanahan lost it. Here's Bossy for New York to Bourne. Shoots, and sliding out to block the shot was Ramsey. Buffalo has to clear at the center. 40 seconds left in the third period. And it's shot back in by the Islanders and offside at the Buffalo blue line. And we're down to 36 seconds left in the third period.
Well, the Buffalo Sabres have not beaten the New York Islanders in a playoff game since April of 1976, and it looks like they're going to have to wait to attempt it again on Tuesday night, because with only 36 seconds left, it's all but over. And I would have to say that based on tonight's performance, Dan, we're looking at a 4-game sweep by the New York Islanders.
This is the 6th game at Nassau Coliseum in the playoffs between the Islanders and Buffalo. Sabres have lost the previous 5 and are in big danger of losing 6 in a row. They now take Edwards off with 36 seconds left. The Buffalo goal is empty. That was an intentional offside they ruled against the Islanders, so thus the face-off comes down to this end and gives Bowman and the Sabres a chance to get their goaltender out.
Well, that's right, and all Derek Smith's going to try and do is just shovel that puck ahead with Gilles Perreault wide. He's going to break in.
6-4, Islanders lead as Schoenfeld cleared it in, but cleared it high, and it's up over the glass. And the face-off again will be outside the blue line now with 32 seconds left in the third period of this game.
Well, Gilles Perreault is way out on the right side. A couple of guys playing right wing, and he's almost on the boards. They're just going to try and get that puck ahead, get it into the Islanders' end so Gilles Perreault can get in and control it.
Islanders 6, Buffalo 4. If it ends this way, the Islanders would have a 3-0 lead in the series. Puck back into the Sabres zone. Their goal is empty. Schoenfeld checked by Nystrom. Goring should be scored! Goring into the empty net for the icing on the cake.
Well, Schoenfeld had a chance to move it up, and then another Buffalo Sabre had a chance. Butch Goring just stole the puck away from him and fired it at the net. I think he fired it blind. He didn't really even know where he was going, and the puck ends up in the net, and the game's all over. Watch Bobby Nystrom take the body on Schoenfeld as he attempts to turn and move the puck up ice. Pucks him a little bit there, and then takes his body out. Now watch Goring beat Ramsey, I think it was, on along the boards.
Butch Goring's 4th goal of the playoffs. Nystrom an assist. At 19:38 in the open net. Now a long shot by Buffalo wide of the Islander goal. Here's Derek Smith, the shot in. Billy Smith made the save. Now Van Boxmeer's drive blocked by Potvin in front of the net, and he fell on top of it. And we're down to just 10 seconds remaining in the game. The scoring play again. Goring is 4th of the playoffs from Nystrom at 19:38.
Well, Bob Nystrom did the work tying up Jim Schoenfeld at a crucial time in the game. And I kept a pretty close eye on Billy Smith tonight, Dan, to see what he was doing with that hockey stick of his. He's very famous for waving it around and doing a little bit of chopping at the other players' ankles and so on. But he's been pretty good. There's been some Buffalo players standing right in front of him, and he's been very tame with the stick tonight. As we look at Schoenfeld's skate, and he may well have an eyelid torn out of his skate and just tape that part up to keep the skate on tightly.
Face off in the Islander zone. It comes to center. Sabres with 5 seconds left. Get it over to Schoenfeld. Cleared it in. Stefan Persson has it, and the Islanders win this game 7-4 and have a 3-0 lead in the Stanley Cup semifinal series on the Buffalo Sabres. Final score, the Islanders 7, Buffalo 4. In just a moment, our 3-star selection.
All of these oils were independently tested for the same thing, permanent viscosity breakdown. And while all of them are good oils that meet or exceed SE standards, only one of them showed no permanent viscosity breakdown, no permanent thinning out at all. Our oil, new Castrol GTX 10W30. In the final analysis, it doesn't break down.
Introducing the first new truck of the 80s from Ford, the only North American 4x4 pickup with independent front suspension. For the first time, we're running a 4-wheel drive over these 4x4 beams next to this wall of light bulbs. A rod is attached to the front wheel, another to the door. Watch as Ford's unique 4x4 independent front suspension steps over the beams independently. The wheel rod is breaking bulbs, not the door rod. See the first new truck of the 80s. It's built Ford tough at your Ford or Mercury dealer.
The New York Islanders are leading this series 3-0 after a 7-4 victory on home ice. The Islanders will try to wrap it up next Tuesday night, and I don't think anybody thought this would be a 4-game series, and anybody that did probably would have picked Buffalo, Howie.
Well, I kind of think, I thought going into it, to be quite honest with you, I hadn't seen the Islanders play for quite some time. They had super goaltending, but I kind of thought Scotty Bowman's goaltending, his discipline behind his blue line would at least extend it to 6 or 7 games and could win it.
I heard a theory that the Buffalo defense obviously had to play well to win the Vezina Trophy, but playing through the regular season when you meet teams only 4 times is a lot different than playing a team night after night after night when some strategy can begin to go to work on that defense.
That's right. Well, I've been saying all year long, since November, Scotty Bowman's been doing it with mirrors. I argue with me buddy Jim Robson. They have the least mobile, poorest puck handling defense in the league, but they all played within their capabilities. None of them wanted to be Bobby Orrs. They got the puck, they moved it around the outside, they checked their own half of the ice, they finished the check, they worked hard, they had tremendous discipline. It's all gone out the window in this series, I'm telling you.
Before, and it maybe really went out the window when Lauren Henning scored a shorthanded goal that stood as the winning goal. We'd like to look at that one now that made the score 5-2.
I tell my players, hey fellas, you know, we don't want a man advantage over this team because they play better actually with a man short than they do in the power play. This is the 5th goal. Look at Potvin just shoots it down the ice. It hits a player, and Henning picks it up and is home free. Well, not quite home free. Watch how he hides the puck when he cuts in front of Edwards. Look at his right skate come out, hides the puck, takes it to his backhand, eludes the Johnny Bauer stick check by Edwards, and takes it in and scores a beautiful goal. That's the one that broke Buffalo's back.
And before that, the Brian Trottier goal to make it 3-2 when Buffalo looked as though the Sabres might have a shot at it. Let's get to the 3 stars now, having mentioned Brian Trottier.
Oh, Trottier, I just thought he played a great game tonight. He had 2 goals and assists. I don't think he played on either goal. I thought, you know, the one on the face-off, all you do is win or lose a draw, stay between the man on the face-off and the center man. The guy from center went, the puck come back to Brian, he went in, put it in. The other one, Edwards, misplayed with his stick and he put it in, but he played a heck of a hockey game. Was in front of the net 5 or 6 times with the puck, could have had 3 or 4 more goals, made the plays, did everything right, and he's the kind of guy you need to lead you to take you to the Stanley Cup.
John Tonelli had 2 goals in game number 1 of this series, but I thought for 60 minutes played better tonight and maybe as well as I've ever seen him play.
Well, I just think he's the picture of exactly what's going to carry this club a long way. He's tough in the corners, both on offense and defense. He takes complete charge of the man. He worked like heck all night long, made some great plays, and it's that type of fella that controls the defensive and offensive corners that makes the Trottiers and the rest of them look good.
And I'll describe the 3rd star the same way Bob Nystrom scored the overtime winner in game number 2. Tonight was even more conspicuous, perhaps, throughout the game and got, what, 3 assists?
3 assists, and they said in your interview that he didn't have any finesse. He had her tonight. He sure did.
That's it, the 3 stars, all New York Islanders. Brian Trottier is star number 1. John Tonelli is the 2nd star. And the 3rd star, Bob Nystrom, as the Islanders go for a sweep on Tuesday. We'll return with Stanley Cup 80 in just a moment. Islanders 7 and the Buffalo Sabres 4 for a 3-0 lead in games. And the 1st star of the game, as you have been told, is Brian Trottier with 2 goals and 1 assist. It's a series that you really had in your hip pocket all along. I know it hasn't been quite that easy, but the Sabres really haven't had a chance to get going.
Well, we really don't want to get caught in a scoring game with them, and tonight we did. You know, we scare ourselves a little bit there in the last period, you know, with 10 minutes to go. And once they start skating and getting their legs and getting these scoring opportunities, we don't want that. We want to cut off their lanes and frustrate them and slow them down. We know they're a good skating club. We know they have goal scorers, and we don't want to get in that kind of situation with them anymore.
Right, let's look at your 2nd goal of the night and the first power play goal in this series.
We're wondering when somebody's going to crack the ice, but let's see. I think this is the first goal.
No, okay.
Bobby Nystrom has the puck in the corner. I know that Schoenfeld's on him. Bobby dumps it back behind the net. I'm screaming my head off. I know Van Boschman was coming at me, and I didn't think anybody was out in front, so I just took 1 step and wheeled it. Stab in the dark type of goal, but it went in.
Got some wrong information. You don't want to show you the power plays, I guess. The power play actually caught up to the penalty killers. The Henning goal was a big one, as it turned out, and I think at the time, too. And, of course, the Bob Bourne goal in the first game, shorthanded, was so big. It just seems that when you need something, you get it, and when it is least expected from the Islanders, you're there with a big play.
Well, you know, it's a funny thing. We've been getting a good goaltending, and that's been a real inspiration for the club. You know, a big save, and Smitty's been coming up with them. And the penalty killers have been coming up with a few goals, and I mean, that is such a lift for a club when the penalty killers start scoring goals. Mind you, neither power play for neither team has been scoring, so thank goodness our penalty killers are.
The depth of the Islanders, I think, is the biggest difference. So you get 3 solid lines now and some extra players, but the Gillies, Trottier, Bossy era is almost over, and I know you look fondly back on that, but I think you'll have to agree that this way works better.
Well, you know, there's so much fun in winning, and you know, if you got to break up the 3 of us in order to win, there's much more satisfaction there than there is in any personal goals. But we'll take the personal goals, but you know, we'll take the team victories more than we will those.
You got some teammates in there who will tell you that coming back with 4 straight wins after being down 3 is possible. The Islanders once did it, but I'm sure that no matter how often that is mentioned, you got to feel very good about the position you're in.
We do. You know, we're not overconfident. We're in a position. We've been playing teams throughout the playoffs where we know that they're good goal-scoring teams, and their goalies are able to come with some big saves. And we're almost going into every game with the attitude of fear of losing. And we know we're having so much fun winning, we don't want to lose.
Thank you very much. I have a fear of being caught short. Next Tuesday, Minnesota and Philadelphia. Join us on Hockey Night in Canada and on NHL 80. That is Philadelphia at Minnesota, game number 4, and we will have highlights of the 4th game in this series between the Sabres and the Islanders. Live on CBC, Hockey Night in Canada, brought to you by Molson, Canada's name in beer since 1786. Brewers of Molson Golden. Canadian General Electric, progress for people since 1882. Canadian Tire Dealers with 320 stores to serve you across Canada. And by the Ford Motor Company of Canada, on behalf of your Ford and Mercury dealers.
This is CBC.
Blacks is 50 years of making memories.
Most camera stores carry the same cameras at pretty much the same prices. But one store has a camera guarantee that covers 3 years parts and labor and 1 year accidental damage at no extra charge. One store, Blacks. Now, where are you going to buy your camera?
Blacks is photography.
Chipper and Chero are now on their own. They're 14 months old and will hunt together as a team till they're 2. Until then, they'll prowl throughout the local area following the food line. And when necessary, they'll range far and wide for better opportunities. Moving is something they understand. So do we. Moving is our business. Bokash Van Lines.
There's nothing quite like an orange crush. The orange it tastes of orange crush. Delightfully refreshing orange crush. It satisfies your thirst for orange every time. There's nothing quite as orangey.
The proceeding has been a special presentation of ICENET, the Islanders Championship Entertainment Network.
National Security Brokerage is Long Island's community insurance brokerage. Serving Long Island since 1982, we're the place to go for the best in home, auto, boat, cycle, and business insurance. Our experienced staff has over 40 years in the business, and we're also proud Long Islanders looking to bring you the best and most affordable coverage you can find. At National Security Brokerage, our clients are #1, and we promise you will always get the very best coverage tailored for your needs. We understand living on Long Island because we do too. We're all Islanders, and if you want Long Island's best team for insurance, go for National Security Brokerage. You'll feel secure with National Security Brokerage. Let's go Islanders!